Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome in. The big show's on your radio. The Rob Brown Show is live here on ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is great to be back with you. What's up? How's everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope your week's off to a tremendous start. Hope that you are just a rocking and a rolling today, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, both literally and metaphor. You couldn't hear that, and I didn't want to tap it because the glass is looking mighty precarious today. And I don't want to deconstruct the studio again. The great one, hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate, the guy in charge of everything from midnight to midnight here on the station. Lonzo on the board. What up, big dog?
Glad you said again, because I am surprised this thing has lasted as long as it has.
Oh, it's come down a few times.
If someone else were in studio also, between the two of you, there's no way this thing would still be standing. You guys are a little animated. That's the word I want to go with. I know you don't like anime, but, you know, animated.
Not that I don't like it. It's just that there's definitely a disconnect that, unlike other styles of entertainment that you and I agree on, just doesn't click with me. You know, and I don't know why. I can't tell you what it is. It's just never. I did a bit of DBZ when I was in college, but outside of that, the majority of the time, I can't. I don't know if it's maybe the majority of them have really bad voice dubs, and it bothers me.
There are some really good dubs out there, and I'm sure there's some very depressing, sciencey anime that you'd really be into. I don't watch those, but someone out there might be able to suggest something for you.
Welcome in. Great to have you. A lot of stuff to get to today. Obviously, we're going to continue breaking down the NFL's divisional round, our conference championship weekend set. We're going to start taking a look ahead at those two games on Sunday. Break those down for you. We've also got a lot of NBA and NFL talk to get into as well. And we will jump into those later on in the show. But so that we don't shortchange ourselves and get terribly off the clock, let's start the show like we always do, like this.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys hear? What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
It is the lunch breakdown. To chat sports. This will be the scuttlebutt. The lunch table. Not one, but two baseball stories on the lunch breakdown today. We start with item number one. Today is the day that the Baseball Hall of Fame will announce the results of the Baseball Writers Association of America, a tradition unlike any other, and a tradition that over the years has, courtesy of the steroid era, gotten to become less and less of a hallmark on the sports calendar, right? I remember when I started this career 15 years-ish ago, that the Baseball Writers Association of America votes being revealed for who got in and who did not used to be kind of a thing, right? It used to be a deal. This would be the Tuesday that we'd get on the air and we'd go, oh my goodness, so-and-so got in and so-and-so didn't. You need 75%. And this guy got 73%. This guy got 76 and barely got it in, et cetera, et cetera. And the last couple of years, it seems like folks don't really care anymore, right? Like I just told you that today is the day the votes get announced.
We have reached a point where people of your generation, the guys that they watched play, they're not going to be eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. So why even pay attention? The guys that you grew up on, the guys that you really liked, they're not going to get in because of steroids. So what's the point of paying attention?
Yeah, I wonder why, right? I said the same thing. And the question I was going to ask there was, I just told you that today is the day that the next class gets elected. Sincerely, how many of you guys knew that? How many of you guys knew that? Right? Like, I knew it because I came across it a couple of weeks ago that today was the date, and it's one of those dumb things that just got stuck in the back of my noggin. But how many of you guys genuinely knew that today was the day we found out who made the Hall? I suspect a vast majority of you did not. Anyway, last year, 401 members of the Baseball Writers Association of America participated in the voting, meaning that players needed 301 votes, a 75% total, to get in. This ballot featured 10 players with at least a 60 WAR, a total that roughly makes a player a viable Hall of Fame candidate. And last year, the writers didn't elect anybody. Curt Schilling checked in with 71.1% of the vote, left him 16 points short of election. This is the final year of Curt Schilling's eligibility, and he asked to be removed from the ballot. He said, I'll defer to the Veterans Committee and men whose opinions actually matter and who are in a position to actually judge a player, end quote. Definitely no sour grapes there.
Do they listen and take them off the ballot when they're asked to be taken off the ballot?
Off the writer's ballot, but there's also the Veterans Committee. There's a separate committee for guys who are Hall of Fame members and ex-players that get to vote as well, and he can still go in that way, but he is off of the writers.
So what would happen if the majority of the players who are up for it said
they overruled that? The Hall of Fame board of directors voted unanimously to actually leave him on the ballot.
We'll show you.
Yeah.
We'll put you on here and then not vote you in anyway. So there.
By the way, ordinarily, if there is a player who does not get in their first few chances, their last year of eligibility, most players get a little bit of a bump, right? Like it's a bunch of writers who go, well, I haven't voted for this guy in the past, but I know this is his last shot, and maybe he does deserve to go in, and I don't really have anybody else that I want to mark as one of my options here. There's usually a little bit of a bump.
And we've made our point and showed you our power. So now we're going to relent, and we might let you in.
I think there's this thing that we do that we assume everybody who has more authority than us is on a power trip.
They are.
I don't think these guys are on a power trip. I think they have been asked.
Except for the management here, who are very even-keeled and fair-handed with everything.
At all. I think that the Baseball Writers of Association have a very high level of what they consider Hall of Fame worthy. And Curt Schilling being caught up in the steroid era directly, a lot of them don't feel like that meets the criteria. Now, I saw an argument online earlier today that said, wait a minute, dudes back in the 70s and 80s used to just straight up pop amphetamine before they went out on the field. How is that not a PED? And if you make the argument that amphetamines were really common and not against the rules at the time, PEDs, a lot of the PEDs that were being taken in the steroid era weren't directly against the rules either. Is that a fair argument? We're going to come to that later on in the show. But the point is, Curt Schilling may have had a boost. He only needed 16 more votes to get on the Hall of Fame. But I suspect his underhanded dig at the writers are going to cost him that possibility. We will find out. There are some big names that we are going to keep an eye on today that I'm interested in. It is the final time on the ballot for not only Curt Schilling, Barry Bonds is on the ballot for the final time. Roger Clemens is on the ballot for the final time. Sammy Sosa is on the ballot for the final time. We also have some first-timers on the ballot.
I was going to say,
Big Pop.
What do all these things have in common?
Yeah. All caught cheating. All caught in the steroid era.
So why even put them on the ballot? You know you're not going to vote them in.
Because they're eligible. No matter if you would or not, they're going to be there are still a lot of voters who have very publicly said, I don't care if they use steroids, right? And you can take a guy like Barry Bonds is a perfect example. That's the big heated discussion going on right now. We'll hit this and then we'll come back to it because I do think it is a big talking point. Barry Bonds is the perfect example because I still think Barry Bonds mashed probably 150, maybe 200 of some runs that barely cleared the wall, that don't go if he's not juiced. However, even before he started juicing, Barry Bonds was one of the best contact hitters we've ever seen in baseball. There are folks who make the argument that Barry Bonds should still go in as one of the best contact hitters in baseball, even if the Roids pumped up his home run numbers. And I think it's a fair argument. We'll come back to that later on in the show, but I got a couple more we need to get into in the lunch breakdown. So those of you texting me on the line, I'm going to read those coming up in just a minute. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown, also baseball, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, Major League Baseball's owners and the Players Association had a meeting. And according to Jeff Passan of ESPN, there was a little progress made. He said that Monday's bargaining session, quote, led to the first sliver of progress between the sides since the league locked the players out back on December 2nd. It was a face-to-face meeting. It lasted about 2 hours, and in it, the union offered a broad proposal in which it dropped its request for age-based free agency and significantly cut the amount of revenue sharing and asked the league to funnel away from small market teams. The day before the lockout, MLB asked the union to remove 3 items from its list of desires: changing the 6-year reserve period before free agency, lowering arbitration eligibility to 2 years, and adjusting revenue share. When the MLBPA declined to do so, it immediately locked out the negotiations, the first work stoppage in more than a quarter century. During Monday's meeting, the union rejected 3 MLB proposals from the first post-lockout meeting between the sides 11 days ago, according to Passan. MLB offered a formula-based salary system for players between 2 and 3 years of service time, a draft pick reward for success by players who started on opening day rosters, and a slight tweak to a draft lottery in which all non-playoff teams would be eligible to receive a top 3 pick. The players remained steadfast in a number of their positions yesterday, including raising the minimum salary from $570.5 a year to $775,000 a year, bumping the competitive balance tax threshold from $210 to $245, and instituting a draft lottery amongst non-playoff teams for the first 8 picks. Progress made. It's boring. It's tedious. It's certainly some of the least compelling radio content that we can do when we start squabbling over these kind of topics. But it is massively important, as it is some progress. We've got about 5 weeks left where negotiations can be completed before the regular season gets impacted and fans start being impacted.
Does this make you, are you positive because of this news? Does this make you think that they're going to start on time?
I'm 50-50 now. You asked me this about a week and a half ago. I said I was like 75-25 that we were going to have a postseason start to the season. I'm 50-50 now. I think that there being progress made shows you that at least the owners understand that while postponing the season would certainly go a long way in getting their demands met because the players wouldn't be paid, at the same time, whenever these negotiations are complete, the players are going to get what the players are going to get, and it's the owners that are going to lose revenue from games not being played. And this shows me at least a little bit that the owners have recognized that, and hopefully the owners recognizing that will make a little bit more of a push. We'll talk about that later on in the show as well. Finally, item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's the old NASCAR phrase, right? Well, if you gon' cheat in NASCAR, you better cheat real smart. That's what NASCAR said yesterday when they toughened up their penalty structure for the upcoming season. Series officials could go as far as nullifying an entire team's eligibility for the playoffs if they find a cup penalty is severe enough. NASCAR Executive Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer Steve O'Donnell said, quote, penalties will be ratcheted up. We hope that we don't have to do that, but we have to put everybody on notice that this is a culture shift. yesterday in a statement. He said, quote, as we discussed during the test at Charlotte and at length with teams over the offseason, the new deterrence model will be a culture shift for our industry. Here are some of the penalties that can be levied, but aren't limited to this. Level 1 penalties, which include team source parts not meeting the NASCAR rule book, failure to meet minimum weight after the race, failure to submit and receive approval of parts in accordance with NASCAR's rule book, etc. So basically, car rules, 20 to 75 point deduction, 1 to 10 playoff point deduction, a 1 to 3 race suspension for a team member on a team roster if they are found in direct violation, 1 team event roster position subject to suspension, and a fine of up to $100K. A level 2 penalty, which should include a modification to next-gen single-source vendor supplied parts, failure to meet engine seal requirements, major external engine parts that are not part of the long block that differ what is required from the rules, blah, blah, blah. You got stuff on the car that ain't supposed to be there, or the car doesn't weigh enough. Level 2 penalties, a 75 to 120 point deduction, a 10 to 25 point playoff deduction, a 4 to 6 race suspension for team members on a roster, 1 to 2 team event roster positions subject to suspension, and a fine of up to $250,000. A level 3 penalty, which includes counterfeiting parts, engine infractions, altering or modifying tires or fuel, could include a 120 to 180 point deduction, a 25 to 50 playoff point deduction, a 6 race suspension for a team member on a team roster, a 1 to 2 team event roster position subject to suspension. NASCAR could suspend the car number for 1 race, which means that you can't race on that number, which means you can't plug another car and team into that spot. A fine of up to $500,000 and no playoff eligibility for the driver and or team owner, meaning that if you have an egregious cheat that is caught by NASCAR during a race, that driver could become ineligible for the NASCAR playoffs if they were to qualify, and the team owner could become ineligible. It's one thing for a pit crew chief to maybe have a little bit too much diameter on the fuel intake or whatever. It's another thing to get to the point that NASCAR calls Rick Hendrick and goes, hey, bro, you're out for the playoffs because your crew chief over here counterfeited a piece onto the car. Wow, NASCAR's not playing.
I am curious, is NASCAR like some other sports? When you put in a major rule, you have to make an example of someone to prove that you're going to go through with it. Should NASCAR drivers and crews be really worried that they're going to do this?
It's interesting because the theory behind that I have immediately, the theory that comes to me immediately, though, is yes, but it's also going to depend on what team it is, right? Like if Eric Almirola's car gets caught, yeah, they might make an example out of him. Hey, we're not playing. But what if it is, well, I was going to say Kyle Busch. But I don't think they'd even do it to Rowdy. What if it was Chase Elliott? You know, what if it's Kyle Larson? Arguably the most popular driver on the circuit right now. If they bust Kyle Larson's crew chief for modifying a piece of the car illegally, are they going to knock him out of the playoffs before he even gets there? I don't know. It's a good question. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I got some texts coming in about this baseball discussion, and we'll address those next. The Hall of Fame votes come out today. Some of the guys who are on the ballot for the last time: Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Kurt Schilling. Any of them deserve to get in. I'll tell you what some of the writers are saying next on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Cool, who is very much on the hot seat going into the season. Mcadoo takes over for Joe Brady, who was fired midway through this past season. This past year, Mcadoo was working for the Cowboys as a consultant.
Let's see. I'm sure Rob will address these things when he gets back in here. Lester, I think I watched the first season of Death Note, and I think that it would be something that Rob actually would like. Because it's morbid and it's weird. And I wonder, have you heard of Death Note before, Rob?
I've heard of it, but I don't know. I've seen it pop up on my
It's you might like it. I mean, it might be worth it. And to Anthony, yeah, interviewing Mark Henry was awesome. And it's cool that you got to play football against him. Was he that big when you played? Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because if you wind up against him, I didn't know how that went for you.
I remember playing against a guy that seemed to be that size in high school. He like took up 2 spots in the line. He was like guard end.
He was a 3/5.
Yes, and he stepped on my foot and broke it. So that's why I remember him so vividly. The only way I could get him off me was to start punching him in his helmet, which you should never do. But I was wearing Undertaker gloves, so I was good.
The Rock says he's starting a new video game-based film to be announced later this year. Quote, we're going to bring one of the biggest, most badass games of the spring, one that I've played for years. Who is The Rock going to play? God of War?
We are here to
Maybe.
Preferred Home Services text line's open for you at 71307. A couple of texts that have come in. Texture says people who watch true anime make you question your mental stability and sexuality.
Okay, let me address the first one. You should question my mental stability. And the second one, I got a couple kids. I'm good.
Second text on the Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Text for the ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Texture says, I had no idea about the Hall of Fame, and also I don't care. The Baseball Writers Association is an absolute joke that has made a clown out of the Hall of Fame. You know, I hear that take a lot. And yes, I have no doubt that there's a handful of voters that are pompous, that are self-important, right? They have a very inflated ego.
When you think of these guys, here's what I envision in my head. There's a smoke-filled room, a bunch of cigars, mismatched toupees, and they don't.
Okay, in fairness, outside of the toupees, that sounds awesome. If you're, well, you wouldn't, but if the majority of you guys out there, if I said, hey, cigar-filled room, 3-course dinner, and let's talk about baseball, I'm falling over myself to get to that. Doesn't sound that. Why is that an insult? That sounds like a great night.
Well, who knows? A few more years, you might be able to. I doubt it, but you do. You do.
Good hair runs in my family. All my best assets are from my eyeballs up. That's all I got going for me. I can reach the top of the fridge without a stepladder, and I got good hair. Hello, ladies.
Yeah, but also I'm picturing a whole lot of, hey, sweet cheeks, bring me a drink, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that room you probably don't want to be in.
I think, listen, I think the Baseball Writers Association of America probably has a couple of self-important D-bags in it, all right? But you know what other sports organization has that? All of them do, right? All of them do. Hell, Kurt Schilling's comments added him to the list of ego-inflated D-bags. He went right to the top of the list with his comments about it, right? Like, there are 401 guys who vote on the Hall of Fame. I'll say 100 of them are self-righteous, pompous Ds. All right? Just absolute Delta Bravos. 100 of them are. That means that there are still 300 guys that probably take this seriously. And here's the other part of it. The majority of the people that I have heard refer to the Baseball Writers Association as a bunch of pompous Delta Bravos, right, are just people who think, who cares about the steroid era? Who cares if they were roiding up? Who cares if they were juiced? Just let them in anyway. And there's a lot of people who don't feel the same as you. A lot of people who don't think that guys who are juiced should get in because you can't do what you did without the juice, and you were competing against guys who were not on the juice doing the best they could. Now, I still think guys like Barry Bonds, had he not juiced or had everybody juiced, would still be one of the greatest hitters we've ever seen. I don't think he'd be at the top of the home run board, but I still think he'd be one of the best hitters we ever seen. Mark McGwire. All right, look, we got a cardboard cutout of Big Mac over there. You ever seen the pictures of Big Mac before he started running? Dude was a string beat.
I think the perception is out there that everybody's doing it or everybody was doing it because I think you hear more about people who did do it and the people, oh, I didn't do it. And we'll sit up there in front of Congress. I did not do it. And then they get caught the next day, that type of thing. It makes it, I think the public perception is everyone was on steroids. And in baseball, everyone's cheating in some way. Was it last year where they had to change the rules for pitchers because they were cheating? Because they're constantly cheating. Baseball, more so than any other sport, they're having to regulate because of cheating.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things that we do that I think you have to ask. And I would to respond to that question, ask you, Lonzo. Heat of the conversation yesterday about the overtime rules. By the way, I saw an incredible stat yesterday that I'm going to bring to you about that. But the rules of the
I don't do
rules,
stats. I'm not smart enough for that.
This
Yeah.
one's an easy
one. Okay.
This one's an easy one. Because everybody's doing it. Does that mean we're cool with it? Like, do we just overlook it? Or do we go,
Just say nay.
Are we just going to instead punish the guys who get caught and tell the ones who don't get caught, you got lucky, right? Like everybody's doing it. If I'm driving down the interstate at 90 and one of our lovely South Carolina highway patrolmen pulls me over and goes, you were doing 90 and a 60, and I go, well, officer, everybody was doing it. He's going to go, yep, sucks that you got caught, doesn't it, Mr. Brown? Right? That's the question. It was against the rules, even if specific chemicals were not. Juicing was. Do we just let everybody in because everybody was doing it? Or do we go, hey, it was against the rules, and unfortunately for you, you happen to be the one that got caught?
If you let all the guys that you told me were eligible earlier in the Hall of Fame, people might actually be interested in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Because those are all names that even if you're not a baseball fan, like me, I'm not a baseball fan, I know who all those guys are. That might bring me some interest because I would like to hear their Hall of Fame speeches.
Kurt Schilling's would just be beep, beep, you, and beep, you, and beep, you. Be the whole speech. So we got.
But you said in the past you don't have a problem with.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so.
I just know that the people who decide if I get a paycheck or not do. Let's see. Texter says, I think this is an incredibly important year with the Hall of Fame inductions. If Bonds and Clemens don't get in, it will be a clear signal that this will be the trend moving forward for suspected steroid users. If they get in, more guys will have a shot. I agree with that. This year is a referendum. If those names get in, then I think the importance of did you roid or were you heavily suspected of roiding becomes less of a factor. That's why these 401 votes this year matter. Texter says, bleep the Baseball Writers of America, bleep Kurt Schilling, Braves sign blanking Freddie Freeman, rant over. Well, they can't sign him right now because we're in a lockout still. They can't even be talking. This is one of my big fears for the Braves specifically, but other free agents as well. All this sitting around while contracts can't get done gives guys like Frederick Freeman an opportunity to go, I said it was a lifelong Brave, but the Yankees are going to pay me a lot if I go play. And it's New York, right? So we'll see. Texter says, I'm not saying Kurt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame, but I am saying that in an era where we might never see a 300-game winner again, he deserves to be in there over any of the current era pitchers. I mean, look, Schilling is the pitching version of the argument that we just talked about with Barry Bonds, right? Schilling wasn't Roids. He still would have been one of the best pitchers of all time. I think I'm comfortable enough to claim that as a fact. If Schilling is not Roids, he's still one of the greatest of all time. No doubt about it. Is that enough to get you over the hump of you broke the rules? Right? Now, Alonzo brought up a minute ago, the doctored baseballs. How many pitchers did we hear this year say, yeah, everybody doctors the ball one way or the other, right? Everybody doctors the ball one way or the other. Some use sunscreen, some use oil, some use a little grit, a little sandpaper. Everybody doctors the baseball a little bit. Does that mean we let the guys who get caught off the hook? I don't know. That's up to you guys. To me, the answer is no. If we want to make it cool that everybody does it, then let's collectively change the rules and make it okay. But the folks who were doing this knew what they were doing, right? That's why they never talked about it. That's why I never say you never had a guy, you never had Roger Clemens come out and go, yeah, this is the juice I'm using. This is the juice I'm using. This is what I do. Because they knew what it was.
I don't condone the use of PEDs and steroids. I don't. And I don't want to come across like I do. But how many NFL players are in the Hall of Fame, and I don't know the answer to this, who served a suspension for roiding up? Because we hear about NFL guys out for a couple games all the time. And it's old hat. It's not really big news. You just move on. Does that keep them out of the Hall of Fame? I would think not. But without doing the research, I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, and again, the interesting thing about the vote, obviously, is that the votes are subjective. The votes are subjective. There is no rule as to how a guy should or should not be precluded from entering the Hall. It's up to the writers. And what makes me so intrigued by people that are hitting me with the bleep the Baseball Writers Association of America takes is that it sounds like blank them for having a different opinion than me. And because they have a different opinion than me, they're pompous eggheads who never played the game. Well, I got news for you guys. You don't have to play the game to have an opinion on the game. And in this industry, I've heard a lot of guys who played the game that are really, really bad with their opinions. Right? I've been watching Major League Baseball since I was literally a child. Literally a child. Now, I would absolutely say that I am unqualified to offer an opinion on how a locker room setup should look. I am unqualified to offer an opinion on what size bat a first baseman should use. Should he have a little wider handle or a little thinner handle? But I'm unqualified for all that. You're right. I've never done that. But I don't need to have played Major League Baseball to have an opinion on whether the shift should be outlawed or not. It should not. I don't need to have played Major League Baseball to have an opinion on whether the DH is good or bad. I don't care either way. Just make it uniform across the league. Right? That is one of those takes that drives me crazy in this business. Well, Rob, you never played the game. Well, I got to tell you, if we limited input to only former professional athletes, sports talk would be boring as hell, y'all. It'd be boring. It's not a great take. It's not a great take. So, anyway, we're going to find out who gets in, who doesn't. We talked about the guys that are on their final run. Later on in the show, we'll talk about the guys that are on their first. David Ortiz, Big Papi on the first time. Papi, via public polls, sitting at an 83.7% approval from the public. Now, I'll tell you one other thing, and this is kind of interesting. Remember, Ortiz was leaked as part of the 2003 anonymous survey testing, right? But he never failed a test. Neither did Bonds or Clemens. What is the number one difference between Big Papi versus Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens? I'll tell you when we come back, see if it changes your opinion on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com. This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi with a developing story out of Tampa Bay regarding Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady. He indicated on his Let's Go podcast his family will play a substantial role in determining whether he'll return next season. Also said if this is it, he could walk away proud and satisfied, even after Sunday's NFC divisional playoff loss to the Rams. Added he is in no rush to make a decision on his future. Coach Bruce Arians has said no timetable set for a decision. NBA Lakers center Anthony Davis listed as probable tonight against the Nets. He's been sidelined the last 17 games because of a sprained MCL. Warriors guard Klay Thompson questionable versus the Mavericks tonight with a late scratch for Sunday's game with soreness in his surgically repaired knee. Baseball Hall of Fame will announce its inductees tonight. David Ortiz in his first year of eligibility. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are in their final year.
From the Ingles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems to keep your family.
You know, Steven, maybe it's just you. I mean, it could just be you. I don't see any other. If it's not, people could let me know. I still can't fix it, but still, I'd like to know. I mean, I can unmute the mic and then you'll get echo, which is, I don't know if it'd be louder. I did notice when you're saying you couldn't hear Robbie, he was kind of doing this. He was doing this, which he does sometimes. And some things have been changed around, but this was been 2 weeks ago. So. You know how we can fix that, Steven? Rob could talk louder.
I thought about it, but I don't want to.
Zoom phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, desk phone.
All right, we're just going to test something. Steven, is that better?
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Does it sound like he's in the chamber? That was worth a shot. It was a scientific experiment. It did not work.
We're talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame vote coming out later on today. We'll find out who's in and maybe who's not. Got a list of great players, question mark, that are on their final year, and a handful of really, really good players that are on their first year, who gets in and who doesn't. Going after the break, I told you that Big Papi is sitting at an 83.7% yes rate from the general public. with 45.4% of ballots revealed. Now, it does not mean that this is a lock. The percentages for the pre-result ballots are always higher, and usually steroid-associated players take an even bigger hit. For instance, last year, of the pre-result public ballots, Barry Bonds got 73.7%. 73.7%. That would have been good enough to get in. But then the rest of the ballots came in, the private ballots, those who decide not to reveal who they voted for. And once those other votes came in, he received less than 43% approval on the private ballots. Now, Ortiz is sitting at 83.7 with 45% of the ballots coming in, which means that, and I'm really bad at math, but he would need an approval rating of around 33% from the private ballots to not get in on his first go of it. Barry Bonds went from 73.7% to 42% from public to private ballots. Why? Well, I got one theory about why guys like Ortiz are going to get such a shot and guys like Bonds take such a hit on the back half. A lot of these guys that have votes in the Baseball Writers Association of America are guys who cover baseball, right? They're guys who go to games and they're in post-game press conferences and they're on the planes and the buses going to away games and interacting with the teams. The Baseball Hall of Fame effectively has one criteria, which is this guy's overall impact on the story of baseball. That's what they look at. The overall criteria to get in. One thing that a lot of writers are going to consider, right, is whether a guy's kind of a jerk or not. And really, that's it. Barry Bonds, it is no secret, was a jerk. Is a jerk. Now, I would argue Barry Bonds has pretty good reason to be a jerk. Remember back in 2007, Barry Bonds was atop the home run list and was a free agent. And no one offered him a contract. They didn't want to touch Barry Bonds because there was so much controversy around the guy at the time. So Barry Bonds' agent accused Major League Baseball of collusion. He said, wait a minute, this guy is a home run champ. And no one wants to give him a contract. This is collusion. But Barry Bonds was a jerk and there was controversy. Do I blame Barry Bonds for being a jerk? Would you be super fun and friendly if you were out there with those numbers and nobody would give you a job? No, you'd probably be a little jaded too. But was a jerk. And directly to the people that he needs to vote him in if he wants in. Mark McGwire. During his career, I remember the home run race between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. My little brother was a Cubs fan. We used to, there were points in time where you'd be watching ESPN, be watching a random basketball game, and ESPN would go away from that game to cut into one at-bat for Mark McGwire or Sammy Sosa as they were in a home run race. And everybody had the guy they were pulling for. Everybody had one of those cats they were pulling for.
Hey, that pulled me in too. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And I was glad every time they cut away because I wanted to see who it was going to be, who's going to hit it this time. And I think the entire country was in on that.
Oh, we were fascinated by it. And how couldn't you be, right? But after it was all said and done, not only did they cheat, but McGwire and Sosa basically never really interacted with anybody after that. They just kind of disappeared. Hey, where's Mark McGwire right now? Anybody know?
Was he like a hitting coach somewhere, I thought?
Probably. Where's Sammy Sosa right now? Anybody know? See what I'm saying? Now, Poppy, Big Poppy, has not only been in the public light, you know, by the way, he was a stellar part of the World Series coverage this year for Fox. Phenomenal job. Big Papi has not only stayed out in the public spotlight, but he's been likable the whole time. Now, he also never had a positive test, whereas Mark McGwire admitted to using steroids, and that's going to help Big Papi. But these writers, they covered these guys. And you are not going to vote to give an accolade to a guy who was a jerk, like Barry Bonds was. You're not going to give a vote to a guy like McGwire who admitted he used roids and then just disappeared. Remember, this is for contributions to the game. What does that mean? Does that mean only on the field? Does it mean on and off the field? Does it mean as an ambassador? Does it mean as a player? Does it mean over the course of a career? That's up to the writers to decide.
But he and Sosa should get in for the reason we just talked about. It brought America in and brought people who are not baseball fans into this to watch to see who was going to win the home run race. Because of that, it helped bring a lot of fans back into baseball that had left baseball.
A lot of people feel that way.
And wasn't that good for baseball? I would say at the time, absolutely it was.
A lot of people feel that way. And then there's a lot of people who look and go, but would we have had that moment if those guys weren't juicing? If Sosa wasn't corking bats as he was found to do? Remember, there was that infamous moment when the bat shattered and the umps found cork in it. The question is, do we care more about the entertainment, or do we care that the competition is legitimate? If you are only in it for the entertainment, right? You hear every stand-up comedian go, oh, you know, they're mad that athletes are taking steroids. I think that we should force every athlete to take steroids. Let's get it as crazy as we can. That's fine. If you are only in it for entertainment, you don't care about competitive balance, then yeah, I can see how you wouldn't care and how those moments were great. But would Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa have had that home run duel if they weren't juiced? No, they wouldn't have.
You can't say that 100%.
No, I can. If you were on steroids, you are bigger and stronger than you would be without them, and you hit the ball further. That's yes. Would Barry Bonds be the home run king without roids? No. How many balls of Barry Bonds did we see drop inches over the fence? A lot. I bet, I don't know the numbers, but I bet over 100. How many of those go over the fence if he's that scrawny beanpole wearing the Pirates uniform from these early days? Maybe a couple of them. He's probably 100 to 150 home runs short if he's not roided. McGwire and Sosa are competing to see who can get to 30 home runs first, not 60. That's what steroid. If you can say, well, we don't know. Well, then what's the point of taking steroids? You take steroids because you do know that they're going to help you mash the ball harder. That's why they take them.
You don't know for sure you're going to get the results that you're going to get when you do it. At least that's what I believe.
You're absolutely correct. You don't know what the results are you're going to get. But for those guys, we know the results that we got. None of them would have done the things they did if it wasn't for juice. The question is, do you care about the entertainment angle, in which case those moments were all great, or do you care about playing the game to the letter of the law for competitive balance? And that's up to you to decide. Quick break, back after this to wrap up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Partial sunshine develops here this afternoon, high around 58. Tonight, partly cloudy, low near 32. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high 36 degrees. And by Thursday, sunshine, high 45. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Winchinsky on ESPN Upstate. Heart rate is 59.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
You make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that it is perfect.
All in one place. It's the Odyssey app for ESPN. ESPN Upstate. Odyssey is your new home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today. Get all the sports you love.
Big day for the game of baseball. Get more back to normal.
And listen to ESPN Upstate.
This is important news. If you have unfiled tax returns, the IRS is shifting gears and ramping up investigations on non-filers this year. If you fail to file your tax returns for a year or more, or you owe back taxes, now's the time to call Optima Tax Relief before the IRS finds you. Optima is America's #1 most trusted tax resolution firm, specialized in helping individuals, families, and businesses get right with the IRS. They're experts in the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, a powerful new program that can make resolving tax issues easier. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima's award-winning team has helped thousands of people protect their paychecks, bank accounts, homes, and businesses by putting their tax problems to rest, resolving over $1 billion in tax debts for their clients. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144.
Okay, Stephen, you were right. I'm sorry that the board was messed up. I'm not taking blame for this. If you watch on the stream, I don't know if you could see me trying to get that button to work
He was in a fist fight with that button.
and it was working earlier. I think the button unbuttoned. Don't make me walk out, Steven.
When you buy and we install 5 or more, or get 12 months same as cash with a free account. Visit amwupstate.com or call 334-6030. 334-6030. And remember, the best windows are American made.
I want a new laptop for the new year, but I'm working with last year's budget.
It's possible at Staples.
I know that, but I appreciate your support.
Also possible. Your local Staples has the innovative tech and tools you need to take on the future of work. This week, get the Lenovo IdeaPad 5i with Intel i5 processor for just $549.99. You save $180. Explore what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 1/29/22. Limited in-store only.
You probably wouldn't leave thousands of dollars on the table at a diner. Why leave thousands on the table with your tax return? Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you don't. This year, there are thousands of dollars in new tax credits. Your Jackson Hewitt tax firm will help you track down every last one, so you get your biggest refund guaranteed. Don't leave thousands on the table this year. Discover thousands of dollars in tax credits instead. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. The Just for Pros event is back at Lowe's, and they're celebrating hardworking pros with special savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help you with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid 117 to 128, U.S. only.
Couple of texts and tweets that have come in as we wrap up hour number 1. Joey Black on Twitter at Joey Black Dog with 2 G's on the end says, on the Roids and Hall of Fame discussion, the question is whether you can tell the story of baseball without those guys. If you don't think so, then they should be in. That simple. It's an interesting take, and I get the direction, and he's not far off. The problem is stories have antagonists too. Do you include antagonists in the Hall of Fame? Because to a lot of people, these guys are antagonists. They are not the protagonists of the story. They are the antagonists. They made it harder for baseball to be successful. Is that an argument?
Is Ty Cobb an antagonist?
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of guys in the Hall that are known racist, that are known domestic abusers, that are known drug and alcohol aficionados, although I got no problem with you throwing back a little bourbon before the game, right? It's not, I promise you it's not a PED. I've tried. It's you know, stories have antagonists. League softball is a thing. All right.
Is it really?
Yeah, beer league softball is absolutely a thing. Gotta hit a drink every time you touch a base. It gets complicated at the end. Texture says, regardless of if they took steroids or not, you have less than 1 second to swing on a 95-mile-an-hour pitch. Making contact is amazing on its own. I agree. How many times did I say in the first hour, Lonzo? If Barry Bonds hadn't roided, he would have definitely been in as maybe the greatest contact hitter of all time. But again, the question is, do we care about the entertainment or the legitimacy of the game? Texture says, Ted Williams was an ass and he's in the hall. Kurt isn't in because of his conservative views. No, don't victimize Kurt Schilling. He's in because he uses steroids. And he's not in because he is an antagonist. It doesn't matter which side of the story he comes from. He has said and done things post-baseball career that are not great for the game. And it's not about what side of the political spectrum is on. An ass is an ass, whether he's wearing red or blue. I've been around them all. I worked in government. Trust me. Trust me. Quick break. Hour number 2 is around the corner. We got some NFL talk next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Rob keeps hitting the door when he leaves. I'm still not quite sure why he does that. It's just kind of looks painful.
This past year, Mcadoo was working for the Cowboys as a consultant. The year before, he served as the quarterbacks coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Clemson basketball, they are in action tonight as they head to Duke. Clemson comes in 11-8, 3-5 in league play, while Duke enters the game with a 15-3 record, 5-2 in the conference. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard Offsides with Mark? Offsides with Mark Ryan, now 3 to 7 p.m. on ESPN Upstate. Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
Make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that it is true.
All in one place. It's the Odyssey app for ESPN Upstate. Odyssey is your new home for all of the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today. All the sports you love. And listen to ESPN Upstate. Morning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate Hour number 2. Hello, America. Great to be back with you. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. Live from the Ingles Market studio. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Text line is open. Preferred home of services. Text line number is 71307. 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air right now. We've had a lot of text coming in, including one that says, at ESPN, Rob, I can't take your blanking stupidity. You're off. Goodbye. Well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Don't worry about it. They're still listening. They still are. We see your phone numbers on the text line, so yeah, we know you're still there.
All right, let's get into some stuff, shall we? Yesterday, I posted on our website, espnupstate.com, an article that was kind of a spinoff of a segment I did on the show yesterday. I did some thinking about it when I got off the air before I posted this article. If you want to read it at espnupstate.com, you are welcome to. It is right on the top page. I don't mean to train wreck the show here, Lonzo, but there's a dude out here dumping garbage into the dumpster. And he had this big box, like big cardboard box over his head.
Was he struggling?
Oh, yeah. So, and the hole to the dumpster is like overhead high for him. So he picks the box up, and as he goes to put it in the dumpster, it rolls bottom first into the dumpster, and the entire contents of garbage just dumped onto that poor guy's head as I'm watching this happen. That he is now walking back around the dumpster, and he's just like trying to he's gone now. It was right there on the corner, that little gray box over there. The dumpster's behind that wall. He takes the box. He goes to put it into the dumpster.
Yes, admit.
I'm assuming it was from the chicken salad restaurant.
Yeah, that's the only. I'm guessing the orthopedist place doesn't have.
Or something.
Yeah. It's, I think they do therapy. I don't think you're dropping stuff out of there.
My poor guy tries to put like a big cardboard box, like his hands were outstretched around this box. He goes to put it in the dumpster. The bottom rolls in, the top rolls towards him, and the entire contents of that box just poured out onto my dude's head. My guy is now going to go back into that store wearing a garbage-covered black polo shirt. Man, if you are listening over there at Chicken Salad Chick, I've been in there a couple of times. They know who we are. If you guys are listening, if that dude's still there when I get off the air today, I'm going to buy him a drink because he is about to have a rough back half of his shift, smelling like chicken salad garbage. Oh, poor guy. All right.
It might smell good. You never know. I mean,
that's true. If it was just a big thing of like bacon chicken salad, I've smelled like worse things.
I mean, if you work in a restaurant and you leave, you always smell that way anyway. So that's just how that goes.
All right. So I put up this article on espnupstate.com. I'd love for you to go take a look at it and tell me what you think, although I'm about to drop it on you right now anyway. So, but go to the website anyway, espnupstate.com. Not only can you listen to the station live if you're away from a radio, but you can grab all our podcasts there as well. Go to the top in the middle. There's a button that says podcast. You click on it, drop it down. It says The Rob Brown Show. Click on that. Every day after the show, Lonzo and I post all 3 hours with the breaks edited out and our highlight segments from the day in short 7 to 13-minute clips. So if you're in a hurry, you're just dropping the kids off at soccer, you need 7 minutes to kill while you wait for them, you can go get some of the highlight segments from the day. Anyway, the article is called Mcadoo Sets Panthers Up to Draft Quarterback. Okay? Here's the argument that I made. I told you yesterday morning when we started the show that there was a conspiracy theory going around Panthers fans that Ben Mcadoo was brought in not to be a great offensive coordinator, but Ben Mcadoo was brought in instead to set the Panthers up to draft the best quarterback in this draft class. And the more I thought about it yesterday, the more I came to the realization that I think this is less of a conspiracy theory and more of an educated guess. And here's why. Amongst NFL circles, including this show, most of us believe that Matt Rule has one more season to save his job, right? Panthers fans want him gone. Even he said the other day he can't bring his kids to Hornets games because every time the Panthers see him, they start chanting fire Rule, clap, 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 clap. So it's widely believed that Matt Rule has one more year to save his job. So I have a question for you. And I asked this question of Lonzo yesterday. If you had to bet your paycheck on the Panthers to make the playoffs next year, you got to bet your paycheck on it. Which of these two outcomes would you prefer to keep that money in the bank? Because that's exactly what Matt Rule's doing right now, right? He is banking his job on this decision, or at least partly. Would you rather have A, the 6th spot in the draft go towards an offensive lineman, or B, the 6th spot in the draft go to a young quarterback who you plug out as a rookie. Now, hear me out on the back half of this argument before you answer. Matt Rule has 1 year to save his season. If you do believe that Sam Darnold is the guy that can get it done, good on you. But there is an added benefit to bringing in a rookie quarterback and plugging him in immediately and hoping you get Joe Burrow-esque results. And the benefit is this for Matt Rule. If you bring in a young quarterback who comes in, and let's say he still only wins 5 or 6 games for the Panthers next year, right? They got a good defense coming back. It is suspected that the majority of the defense remains intact. With a good defense next year and a rookie QB who let's say has a promising year, not a great year, not Joey Burrow-esque, but a good year. He's got good numbers, clipping it like a 65% completion percentage. Maybe he goes and gets you 3,000, 3,100 yards through the air. If you are Matt Rule and you got a rook QB who comes in and is promising, not perfect, but promising, you can then go to David Tepper and go, Tep, here's the deal, man. I want you to check this out. We struggled with Sam Darnold, and yeah, I missed on that. But here's this young guy. We brought him in, whether it's Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or Matt Corral or whoever. We brought him in. He had a good rookie year. He's got good rookie numbers, consistent rookie numbers. By the way, he's still going to be working with a good wide receiver core. He's got good numbers. Give me 1 more year with this rookie quarterback, and we will be better. And that argument might work. A, because Matt Rule has a good rookie quarterback, and B, because Matt Rule's contract is still so expensive, and he's got 4 years left on it, 3 at that point, with about $11 million a year coming his direction, that he might go, if you fire me, you're still going to owe me that money. And a new coach is going to come in and make you rebuild. Instead, I gave you a good rookie quarterback who put up decent numbers in an offense that shows promise, and you can pay just me instead of me and another head coach. Give me 1 more year. And he might have a good argument. Not necessarily because you're going to look at good rookie numbers and go, okay, Matt Rule deserves another year. But because if you're David Tepper, you're going to go, he had good numbers. He was a guy that Rule brought in. And whatever I got to pay a new coach, I still got to pay Matt Rule $11 million on top of that not to coach. It's $11 million value to keep Matt Rule around for 1 more year if there is promise. Now, he brings in Ben Mcadoo. Ben Mcadoo, back in 2017, was working with the New York Football Giants at the time. Mcadoo made a push to draft a young quarterback that the Giants overruled him on and says was undersized, and they didn't trust to run an offense. Can you, Lonzo, by any chance, think of a guy considered undersized that came out at quarterback in the year 2017 that the Giants might wish they'd have a second crack at? Any guess who that might have been, Chiefs fan Lonzo?
I have no guess except for maybe the guy, our news guy, called Mahomes yesterday.
That is the right guy. Patrick Mahomes. Ben Mcadoo wanted Patrick Mahomes. He publicly pushed for the Giants to trade up and get Patrick Mahomes. And they had offers. They had interest that would have allowed them to go get Patty Mahomes. And the Giants overruled him. Said, no, we're good. The next year, Ben Mcadoo was unemployed. But the New York media was using him as a mouthpiece to analyze the Giants and the Jets draft. Ben Mcadoo was interviewed by a reporter from the New York Times. And in that interview, the reporter asked Ben Mcadoo, what quarterbacks would you suggest the Giants or the Jets go get? And the two names that Ben Mcadoo said publicly he would push for above everybody else, a guy by the name of Lamar Jackson was his second pick, and his number one pick, Lonzo, was a guy by the name of Josh Allen. Yeah, that one. Yeah, Sunday's AFC divisional round game between the Chiefs and the Bills, we could have called it the Ben Mcadoo Bowl because he wanted more than anybody else in consecutive years Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And he was overruled or unemployed for those two quarterbacks. Had the Giants listened to him in 2017, Lonzo, and got Patrick Mahomes, who do you think the head coach of the New York Giants is right now?
I would guess it was probably still be Mcadoo.
That is correct. It absolutely would be. And the Giants would probably have an NFC championship in their belt right now. Maybe another Super Bowl push. And the year after that, had the Giants listened to him and got Josh Allen, they wouldn't be having to figure out, do we stick with Daniel Jones for one more year? Because they'd have been in the playoffs, and guys would be wanting to play there. Ben Mcadoo has proven himself to have an eye for quarterback talent coming out of the draft. Maybe more than anything else. He showed talent as an offensive coordinator with the Giants. We told you that yesterday. In his first year, took the Giants from the 28th most efficient scoring offense to the 14th, and his second from the 14th to like the 7th or 8th. I forget off the top of my head. But the point is, he doubled the efficiency of the New York Giants offense consecutive years. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. And in both years, put a name at the top of his draft board that he was overruled for of quarterbacks that have all played for at least a divisional round and a couple of Super Bowls out of Patrick Mahomes. Why am I bringing that up here? Because if you are Matt Rule and you have decided that you are going to roll the dice here, you have decided that you are going to roll the dice on bringing in yet another quarterback with the knowledge that if you have a successful rookie quarterback, you might buy yourself one more year of mediocrity before your feet are really to the fire. I think they already are. But if you bring a successful rookie quarterback in, you can go to David Tepper and go, look, I know we wanted the playoffs last year. I know we wanted them this year. But now I've got insert quarterback here who put up good rookie numbers this year. I've got an offensive coordinator that did great things in New York before he was elevated one spot higher than he is adept at performing. And you save $11 million if you give me one more year. Billionaires aren't prone to just forking out $11 million for a guy that's not working. Matt Rule might have a good argument here if he hits on a rookie quarterback. And I think that Ben Mcadoo might be the best available right now at being able to point at Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or Matt Corral or whoever else it is and go, that's the guy. I wanted Mahomes. I didn't get him. I wanted Allen. I didn't get him. I wanted Jackson. I didn't get him. You give me this guy, we're going to work. And if they hit, Matt Rule buys himself another year. And the Panthers might genuinely trend upwards. It's a risk. But if you're Matt Rule, because here's the other aspect of this conversation. Lonzo, what does Matt Rule care if the Carolina Panthers franchise is on fire when they let him go? He didn't care at all.
Yeah, but I think you should care that when you leave, you don't want to leave with things being so bad after you took over that you caused the fire. You don't want to leave that. That makes it hard to get another job.
I don't think if he leaves this job, he wants another job in the NFL. It's already been reported multiple times by pretty reputable guys that he's got one eye cocked at the Michigan job if Harbaugh decides to head down to Las Vegas. If Matt Rule doesn't work out with Carolina, he's going back to college, and there will be big-time colleges lined up to hire him. If he leaves the Panthers, he will watch it burn on his way out of town, and it's inconsequential to him. It matters not, which is why I think he can roll the dice with a rookie QB. Because if it fails, the Panthers franchise is set back 3, 4, 5 years. But if it hits, Matt Rule buys himself at least one more year. And if you're going to roll the dice, you want Mcadoo sitting there telling you which dice to pick up and roll. Quick break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. It's official. The new offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers is former Giants head coach Ben Mcadoo. He has been hired by head coach Matt Rule, who is very much on the hot seat going into this season. Mcadoo takes over for Joe Brady, who was fired midway through this past season. This past year, Mcadoo was working for the Cowboys as a consultant. The year before, he served as the quarterbacks coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Clips of basketball, they are in action tonight as they head to Duke. Clemson comes in 11-8, 3-5 in league play, while Duke enters the game with a 15-3 record, 5-2 in the conference. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. On your computer, smart speaker, and phone on the Odyssey app.
I'm Michael Jenkins, helping you beat the books with BetQL. When you think of the Warriors, you think of the Splash Brothers. Well, you should think of unders because no one.
What's up, dude? How do we do?
And Golden State hosts the Mavericks tonight. These two teams lead the league in unders. The Mavs have hit the under in 8 consecutive games and in 13 of their last 14. The last time they played, Dallas held Golden State to a season low 82 points. In fact, neither team broke 100.
You want?
Angie's List is now Angie.
Maybe I'll wait until you come back from the break.
Just got easier. Whether you need help with routine maintenance or a dream
I need you to
remodel,
restart
Angie
White
makes
Orbit.
it easy to see reviews,
Actually, I need you to
compare
restart
quotes, and
that
connect
computer.
with top local pros who can get the job done right. Plus, you can see upfront
Or maybe
pricing
you can
and
tell me.
instantly book hundreds
I'd
of
rather
projects.
test it, but
No
maybe
phone
you can
tap.
tell me.
Just the work
If
can
this
be done
computer
at a time
restarts,
that works for you.
does it automatically
Angie's got
log
your
back
to-do
in and
list
start White
covered
Orbit?
from start to finish. Book
you
your
have
next
to
home
type
project today at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
I don't recall.
Fair enough.
Do you really want to go
Why
through
we're gonna test
another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, it's Kelly James. It's time to call QC.
I haven't paid attention. How are the Saints doing? Yeah, they're not well. We're sore about it.
You know, Chris, ordinarily I'm thrilled to see you. You're one of my favorite people I work with.
Thank you very much.
You walked in and I'm like, Captain America's here. We're due for good times. And then you're like, no. What if I choose violence and make it personal?
I really don't know.
The season is over.
The season is over.
And
Yes,
we
I'm
did
aware
not
of that.
make the
We're in the middle
playoffs.
of the playoffs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they
So the answer is that not only are the Saints not doing,
okay.
but our head coach has not committed to coming back next year. The Dallas Cowboys are making a push to take him away from us. And yesterday, my owner, when asked
Are we
about
happy
it,
about that?
oh no,
we don't like.
no, we are
okay.
very not happy about it. And
But
yesterday,
sometimes you're glad to see somebody leave.
yeah, no, not him,
Not him. Okay,
not him.
fair enough.
There's a lot of people I'm happy to see leave. He's not on the list. And yesterday, when our owner was asked, "Is he's coming back?" her answer was, which is not comforting.
Yeah, that's not encouraging.
Not comforting at all.
If you weren't coming back, if you had to replace him, who would you pick?
I would grovel.
Him and nobody else.
Yeah, I would grovel and
Oscar Moore's
offer
quarterback is next.
various sacrifices to him. Who's our next quarterback? Also a great question. It's either Jameis Winston again or Karen Rodgers, who we are making a big play to try to get to come down. Who, like, on one hand,
It's a political thing.
Jameis Winston. Are we dissatisfied with him? I guess.
no, he played well. He is just a rapist, and I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that. So I'm sitting here during the break, peacefully minding my own business, bothering no one in the world. I haven't asked our techies for a favor in at least a week. At least a week. I haven't bothered them. I haven't broken anything, right?
That they're aware of.
No.
So they don't know.
Listen, I had about 2 weeks ago, I had a stretch where I had to ask Captain America Chris Evans down the hall like 16 times in a week. Can you do this? And he's always so kind about it. He's like, yeah, man, I got it. I'll take care. He comes running. I guess whatever I'm done, like on the spot. But like, you get to a point where even if somebody's happy to help, you're like, okay, I'm taking advantage of this. I got to stop. Even if it's stuff I need for the job, I can just do it, right? And so Chris walks into the studio during our break here, and I'm like, hey, Cap's here. This will be fun. So he walks around and he's doing something on the big important computer over there. And I say hello as he walks in. And Chris looks at me and as his greeting says, how are the Saints doing?
Yeah, I just want
Not great, Chris.
I just want to point out that Chris and I we shared an office together for many, many years, and we welcomed Rob in with open arms. It was a wonderful place to be, and
the coolest office in the building, no doubt.
But with that, it goes. There's a little bit of ribbing that goes on, and Chris doesn't know a lot about football. He's big into the nerd culture. He's an engineer now, but he's not into football, and he's trying to make nice, do that small talk thing that I can't do with you. And now you're being all negative with Chris, and I'm offended on his behalf.
I love that Lonzo's sticking up for me.
How are the Saints doing,
You're
Rob?
wearing a Saints.
Yeah, I
You got
know.
paraphernalia.
I know.
I didn't know if that
because
was-
it's cold outside.
Many times on these airwaves, Rob has talked about how hard it is to get me to laugh out loud.
Chris just did it.
He did it. Yes.
Lonzo spun in the chair laughing. He thought it was so damn funny.
Check it out on the Facebook Live feed later. Yeah, it won't be live. but
Spun
still.
around in the chair laughing. Chris, how's it going? Good. How are the Saints doing? Well, our coach is non-committal to sticking around. Our owner was asked, is the coach going to stick around? The owner's answer was, I don't know.
By the way, I'm seeing things that are saying that Sean Payton is leaning towards retiring.
Yeah, still not great. The Cowboys are making a push for him. He's thinking about taking a break. There's a god-awful movie starring Kevin James pretending to be him coming out this weekend that I will have to suffer through aggressive memes because of.
They look just alike. I don't understand your problem.
Maybe Kevin James can coach the team next year. The Dallas Cowboys are trying to take the coach, and on top of all of that, I might have to put up with Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback next year. So, Chris, not great, buddy. Not great. Thanks for asking, though.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Wow, you may get one of the
Yeah,
better
nice.
quarterbacks of the last couple decades as your quarterback. Oh wow, it's gonna be really hard on you if that happens.
He'll
be wearing an Aaron Rodgers
They
jersey.
can't, the regular season hurts enough. I don't need Chris coming in here and dropping bombs on me in the offseason. All right? I don't need it.
Hey, you need to be nice to Chris now. as he leaves the room.
I'm always nice to Chris.
Yeah. It's
This is Chris, everybody on the stream.
touching, not a good idea right now. Yeah, especially not on screen. So yeah.
Thanks, Chris, for everything.
Well, at least you got a segment out.
Always the optimist, that guy. Always the optimist. All right. 844 GSP ESPN 844-477-3776. Dick Vitale done for the year, baby. He is off ESPN programming for the remainder of the year as he continues to rest his voice and prepares for surgery to treat dysplasia and ulcerated lesions of the vocal cords. And a story posted to ESPN Monday, Vitale wrote that he had a follow-up visit with Massachusetts General Hospital throat specialist Dr. Steven Zeitels and was advised to give his voice, quote, an even longer TO, baby. Like you.
It's not bad. That was not bad.
It's like an 80. It's like an 80%. It's like a B- impression.
But if you did that walking down the hall, everyone would know who you were doing. So there's that.
You gotta be kidding me. I can't do a great Vitale. It's like decent. Anyway, Vitale wrote that, quote, my throat's condition is clearly moving in the right direction, and Dr. Z is very optimistic that it can be successfully treated and have me strong for the 2022-23 season, end quote. Lonzo, has there ever been a voice as synonymous with a single sport as Dick Vitale's is with college basketball?
There are some, but not like that. I mean, when you hear that voice, even if you're not a college basketball fan, you know who it is. And his catchphrases are all over the place, and hopefully he gets better. I mean, the worst part about it, the thing that you make your money with, that's the thing that's hurt right now. And it's got to be hard for him because he's around the game so much.
I have no doubt.
And do you want to be around the game while you're healing when you can't talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah. It's kind of unbelievable, right? Like Dickie V has elevated himself. He's the voice of college basketball. And there's a lot of great ones, right? There's a lot of great college basketball guys. But he's the voice of college basketball. When you think about the NFL, right? John Madden for a number of years was the voice of the NFL. Right? He was the voice of the NFL. But I don't even know if the great John Madden had the type of prominence doing what he does that Dick Vitale has as voice college basketball. I would say
baseball. I would say Howard Cosell, but I mean, I know he wasn't one sport, but when you thought NFL because you thought Monday Night Football.
See,
I know that.
I don't even know if I agree with that because there have been so many great voices. But like if I allowed you access to everybody for all time to give me the voice of a sport. If I say the all-time voice of the NFL, who is it? I don't know if there is one.
I think I would go with Howard Cosell. And
I'd go John Madden.
And it might be generational.
Exactly. If I gave you access to the voice of all time and ask you who's the voice of Major League Baseball, there's not one. There's voices of the team, right?
Yeah, I would say Harry Carey.
Yeah.
Just because he's been impersonated
Bob
so many
Uecker.
times. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, there's voices of the team, but there's no the voice of Major League Baseball. There's no voice of soccer. There's no voice of this, that, or the other.
See, I would say college football. I think Keith Jackson. I mean, there's just some, but again, it's generational.
Keith Jackson might be the best argument you have, right? Keith Jackson might be the best argument that you have. But I don't even think the great Keith Jackson compares in college football to what Dick Vitale is with college basketball. It's not college basketball without Dick Vitale. The greatest games aren't the same without Dick Vitale. Texas says Michael Buffer is the voice of boxing. No, he's not. He's the voice of introducing boxing.
Don't do it.
I can't. We're not allowed to do it. Michael Buffer will personally come to our house and beat us up.
If you do it, I will dump it so we both don't get in trouble.
Michael Buffer will show up in your dreams and destroy you if you say his tagline.
Yeah, if you say it somewhere, he hears it.
Yeah.
He's got people.
Michael Buffer is absolutely the voice of introducing boxing and every other major sporting event, right? But I don't think he's the voice of it like Dick Vitale is the voice of basketball. Anyway, Blake, cancer sucks. Get better soon, Dick, because we can't do college basketball without you, homie. We can't do college basketball without you. So get well, rest that voice. I need all the diaper dandies that I can get next year. Best call I ever heard, Lonzo, was Dick Vitale on the call. I can't remember who they were playing, but JJ Redick had made something like 9,000 consecutive free throws for Duke, right? NCAA records, Duke school records. Goes to the line with a couple minutes left in a close game, lines up the free throw, and Dick Vitale says, "There's no question, he's automatic, baby." And JJ Redick suffers the curse of the announcer, which is real. I don't believe in blessings. I don't believe in curses, except the curse of the announcer. JJ bricks the front end, and Vitale goes, "Oh, JJ, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, baby." And I don't know why that call is stuck with me as long as it has, but it was incredible. Texter says, voice of college football, Kirk Herbstreit, and the voice of the NFL is Jim Nantz. I would argue today that you are right about college football. The voice of college football today is Kirk Herbstreit. That being said, 3 seasons ago, would you argue, and when I say the voice of, I'm talking both play-by-play and on TV away from the game, right? Which is unquestionably Kirk Herbstreit. But is Kirk as a play-by-play guy in the same region as Dick Vitale? I don't know. I would also argue that if we just go 3 years back, Lonzo, there was a cat by the name of Vern Lundquist who called the SEC on CBS. And Vern got a little fuzzy towards the end of his career. But Vern was great in his prime. I think Vern was more the voice of college football, even though he only did the SEC on CBS. I think he was more the voice of college football than Kirk was. Generationally speaking, Kirk's got about 30 more years before he hits Dick Vitale range, right? Texter says, what about that guy that did NBA forever and got in trouble for biting women during a little rough hanky-panky?
Yeah, that guy with the bat.
Albert's toupee. That's not a bad argument.
Yeah, it's not. I agree.
Marv is probably close with the NBA. I would say Marv Albert just behind Dick Vitale.
The question is, did the texter really not know his name?
Or just wanted to be able to say biting women during rough hanky-panky on the text line and make me read those words on air, which I did. Let's take a break. Back after this. I got plenty more to talk about. Urban Meyer has spoken out for the first time since being fired as the head coach of the Jaguars. And somebody sent me that sound today and said, Rob, you at least have to give him credit for this, don't you? No, I don't. And I'll tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
I'm Christine Lisi. This just in from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Bears are finalizing a deal to hire Chiefs Assistant Director of Player Personnel Ryan Poles as their next general manager. According to Tom Brady, his family will play a substantial role in determining whether he returns to the Buccaneers next season. The future Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback also said on his Let's Go podcast he could walk away proud and satisfied if this is it, despite the NFC divisional playoff loss to the Rams. Brady says there's no rush to make a decision. The team has expressed a strong desire for him to return. NBA, Lakers hoping to get center Anthony Davis back from his sprained MCL tonight against the Nets. Officially, he's listed as probable. Davis has missed the last 17 games with the injury. NHL, Sharks defenseman Erik Karlsson had surgery on a left forearm injury. He's expected to miss at least the next 2 months.
From the Ingles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station.
With just one spray of Microban 24, your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours?
We're really doing this.
24 hours.
When used as directed, one spray of Microban keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria touch after touch for, up to 24 hours.
Wow.
Microban 24, the sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors would use in their own homes. So why aren't you?
It's football season again, which means it's football season again. And here at Frank's Red Hot, we put together a completely exhaustive list of essentials that will bring everyone together on game day. Essential number 1, Frank's Red Hot. I mean, come on, people, that was a given. Number 2, wings. Like, just so many wings. Okay, it looks like that's it. There's not even a third thing on the page. Do I just say the first 2 essentials again, or is that weird? No, just Frank's and wings? Okay, yeah. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on the page.
Jackson Hewitt needs you to know 3 things.
Texture said I honestly couldn't remember his name. I'm getting old. I think soft biting is okay.
Is that what you do when you have teeth? I don't know.
No, that's gumming.
Your gums are still kind of hard, though, I think. I don't know.
Discover thousands in tax credits and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement.
You have any interest in this Moonfall movie?
The more I see, the more I'm tempted. And I know I'm going to get burned if I actually do it. But the director who did it, I think, is the same guy who did Independence Day. I think it's him. And it's got Orm in it.
Yeah, and it's got Halle Berry in it.
Yeah.
And Simon Pegg's in it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's an opportunity for there to be some humor with Simon Pegg in it. I don't know. It's like the moon is like aliens or something, and then it's your basic disaster film. It probably wouldn't be bad in IMAX if it's in IMAX, just because of the sound and everything. I was gonna wait until Uncharted comes out to go to the theater again, but I'm really tempted by this movie. I will justify it by saying I review movies on Saturdays, and that's why I'll go see it.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on at ESPN Upstate. I got an email this morning asking me about the interview that Urban Meyer did. He did it on a podcast, and I'm going to see if I can find the name. I didn't get the name of the podcast that did the interview. Anyway, I'll find it to give him credit, but to get some of the audio. Let me get clip number 1A, if you don't mind, Lonzo. Herb went on the record. He was asked about his feelings, for what happened in Jacksonville. And that's all the setup I'm going to give you while we listen to what Herb had to say about how hurt he was. Here's Urban Meyer.
Yeah, it was the worst experience I've had in my professional lifetime. Is that and what really got me, it's almost, I don't want to say people accept it. I mean, it was, you lose a game and you just keep, I would seriously have self-talk. I went through that whole depression thing too, where, I stare at the ceilings and and are we doing everything possible? Because I really believe we had a roster good enough to win games. And I just don't think we did a great job. And yeah, just eats away at your soul. And I tried to train myself to say, okay, it happens in the NFL. You know, at one point, how about this? One point, the Jaguars lost 20 in a row. Think about that. 20 games, you're leaving the field where you lost. And we lost 5 in a row at one point. And I mean, but that was, I remember I was just, you know, really couldn't function. I was trying to just rally myself up in our team. I was in charge of the team, obviously. And then we won 2 out of 3. And I really felt like we flipped that thing. You know, our defense was playing excellent. At one point, our defense was number 1 in the league. We held Josh Allen to 6 points, 2 field goals, and playing high level football. Offense, we were really coming, and then we quit scoring points. We just really struggled offensively, and that went on another losing streak. And that just, you know me very well, Dan, and I know you. And I really struggled with that.
Okay, Herb. You know, the football team was bad.
By the way, the audio courtesy of Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you, Dan. The team was bad, Herb. And even bad NFL teams are going to have some good days, right? Like, we don't really have a lot of O for teams. That's why we make fun of the Detroit Lions so much, because it doesn't happen very often. Even the worst NFL teams have some good days. I feel like we were turning the thing around. In what freaking plane of existence were the Jags turning around? We held Josh Allen to 6 points. Okay. The Saints shut out Tom Brady. Did they deserve a playoff spot for it? No. You had a good game. Here's the thing I like about all this. I'll tell you what, I'll play the other clip and then I'll address this too. Clip 1. Urban Meyer blames himself. ... Kind of.
Oh, sure. Sure. I don't know if it'd be a book, but, you know, I made some mistakes and we didn't win enough games, and we should have done better. You know, I'm not ashamed to say that. You know, we've had great success in college. I took over a team that lost a lot, but I really believe that we had good enough players to win more than we should have. Was it a Super Bowl team? I don't know if that we're there yet. I think it's not going to be long before they turn that thing because there are very good players in that organization. The owner is a good owner and great owner, and he's just, you know, you got to build a new facility, which one's on the books right now. Got to just got to treat the players with the best.
Dude, you know, I'm a second chances guy. I really am. And I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I really do. 6 and 7 chances, you kind of start to lose me a little bit. But if there's one thing that drives me insane, it's when dude on chance number 4 goes, nobody's more disappointed than me. Then stop doing the thing, right? Stop doing the thing. I had to cover a DUI case when I was working TV news down in Florida. DUI case. Lonzo, dude got DUI number 7. And I'm covering this case because he like, I don't remember exactly. He hit a car and he injured a little kid or something. And the judge goes, you could have killed this kid. This is your 7th strike. You know, like, why should I not lock you in the jail forever? And the dude said, and genuinely thought this was a good argument, Your Honor, no one is more disappointed in me than me. No, that's not true. That's not true. No, maybe it is true. I'm not disappointed so much as I am just furious and filled with the rage of 1,000 suns. Okay? Herb is about to go on, ladies and gentlemen. And the only reason I'm warning you is so that you can warn your teens, don't fall for it. Herb's about to go on the actually I'm the victim kick here, is what he's about to do. He said at one point, maybe I rubbed some people the wrong way. Yeah, like that girl in the bar, Herb. You rubbed her the wrong way. That's literally what started all of this. Was you literally rubbing someone the wrong way? Oh, you better be good to take this away from me.
According to Ian Rappaport's sources, Sean Payton has informed the Saints that he is stepping away. Again, not confirmed, but Ian Rappaport's sources have been pretty good. So I'm taking away from you. It's not confirmed yet, but according to sources.
Can you just take me to break, Lonzo? Just take us to break.
If there's a counselor listening that can call in who can help Rob, he's taking his glasses off and he looks urban sad right now.
Nobody's more disappointed in this than me. I had this whole thing ready to go about Herb and preemptively judging the team that's going to fall for his crap again because winning is more important than anything else.
You know, the one thing about breaking news, though, Rob, it's brought to you by somebody.
By our friends at BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Go to BetQL.com or listen to all their podcasts. Joe Giglio will join us next week, by the way. Had a personal emergency to attend to. Anyway, Lonzo will be back next segment to host the show. See you then. It's the Rob Brown Show. ESPN Upstate. Cool.
Sorry I interrupted your Urban Meyer party.
I'm meteorologist Jennifer, who cheats me on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 60.
So far, he's the only one I see that's reporting it. But again, pretty reliable source. You know, you had a fresh start when you came here and you've won an award and we're doing great and everything. So now your team's getting a fresh start. May not be a bad thing. I know it's, you know. I just thought of something so evil that I'm not sure I can say it.
Feel free not to then, buddy.
Your next coach of the New Orleans Saints. Urban Meyer. Would that cause you to no longer root for that team? Is that enough to cost you your fan?
I'd step away till it was gone.
Okay.
I'd step away till it was gone.
All right. Sports Illustrated is now also reporting it, but they're giving Rappaport credit. So this is what he said. We're not saying, we're saying that he said it. He is pretty good on TV. A couple times I've seen him on there. Sean Payton. Thought he was pretty good on TV. Can see if I can get Mark Ryan to come, on an hour early. I'm leaving too if that happens, but still I could get him. Because of solidarity, not for any other reason. I want to be able to have time to console you. You never know. Payton could come on and say, hey, I don't know where Ian Rappaport got this from. I'm not going anywhere. Probably not going to happen, but,
because insurance companies tend to lump you in with other businesses, and you can get overcharged. At Pi Insurance, we're on a mission to change that. With Pi, you get a quote specific to your business, and you could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. If you like savings, take 3 minutes to see how much you could save at saveonpi.com. Pi makes workers' comp insurance as easy as pie, with friendly representatives just a call away. No wonder customers rate our service excellent on Trustpilot. You work hard to build your business and keep your employees safe. You deserve more from your workers' comp provider. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote today at saveonpi.com. That's saveonpie.com.
This report is sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. Cash Pop is the new numbers game from the SC Education Lottery. Pick one number from 1 to 15, match and win a cash prize. It's really that easy. At $1, $2, $5, or $10 per number pick, this game fits in everybody's price point. For more information, go to sceducationlottery.com. Opinions wanted. Well, opinions are like
I believe the I believe the rule is Lonzo, that I can drink on air as long as I don't talk about it, right? Like that's the rule. Like I can drink on air, I just can't talk about it.
That I don't believe that's the rule, but
that's the rule.
Even if it were the rule, we are live on Facebook, so you're visible. Unless, well, I mean, we can go off the Facebook feed, or we could just put it on me. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I do want to apologize that my violins just aren't sad enough. I got to work on that.
Breaking news. According to Ann Rappaport, I didn't need it again, Lonzo! Sean Payton has informed the New Orleans Saints that he is stepping away. So that's cool. I had to tell you. And yes, I am going to make the last 3.5 minutes of this segment about me. All right? I've just had a proverbial death in the family. Let me have a minute. What Sean Payton did this year was pretty incredible, I think, right? Was pretty incredible. Dude had multiple games where he was missing 16 or more starters. Lost his quarterback 5 games into the season. Worked with Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill, who spent the last 3 weeks with an injured throwing hand. And was a failed Rams win in Week 18 away from making the playoffs. In the hunt until literally the second to last game of the season. Did all that, having multiple games with 16 plus starters out, without a starting quarterback, with 2 backups that would not be backups anywhere else. What he did was pretty damn impressive. And the first person who hits me with the sarcastic, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened text, it's getting slapped across the face.
I've never heard that before. It's a good saying.
Not right now. So, Carolina Panthers, the door is open. Where do the Saints go? Where do the Saints go? Top tier candidates already being interviewed, jumping in the game late, and with a fully constructed Sean Payton roster. You got 2 options. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, elevate him, which to be honest with you, is kind of what I want. Or you be the team that's got the stones to take a shot on Eric Bieniemy and get him out of Kansas City. Which one of those 2 do you take if you're the Saints? Assuming you can get either one of them. Because remember, your coach is coming in pretty well handicapped by the salary cap situation, which is bad. Which is bad. I don't know. What, Lonzo, I got like a minute to kill. I'll be okay in the next hour. I just need.
If you have coaches that you think could replace Sean Payton in New Orleans, text us 71307. Jump on the Facebook.
Blocked.
That's already been done. So I mean, and I don't. If he blocks you, I'll unblock you.
Third hour of the show. I had this whole thing up to make fun and beat up on Urban Meyer, and you took that from me.
It's breaking me. I mean,
You took it.
it literally broke like 10 seconds before I hit the button. I have to do that. It's part of what we do here.
When we come back, we talked a little bit. I think the Panthers are set. There's just no heart in this right now, is there? I think the Panthers going to draft the quarterback. I don't know if it's the right decision. There's some okay quarterbacks in the class. I'll tell you about them when we come back. I'm Rob. Without a head coach, he's Lonzo, 60 from a Super Bowl. I'm going to pretend like I'm happy when I come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Hope you come back.
It's official. The new offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers is former Giants head coach Mcadoo. He has been hired by head coach Matt Rule, who is very much on the hot seat going into the season. Mcadoo takes over for Joe Brady, who was fired midway through this past season. This past year, Mcadoo was working for the Cowboys as a consultant.
By the way, I do believe that Rob is very upset. You lose your coach who's been there for a long time, and probably will be in the Hall of Fame eventually. I'm probably going to make it worse because, it's just who I am, I suppose.
I'm cool. Everything's fine.
Did you learn that in your acting
Everything's
classes?
fine. This is method acting.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Is it Method Man acting? According to Andrew Siciliano, 9 NFL teams don't have a head coach right now.
Hey, Rob, ask the tech guy his thoughts so he can burn you again. That's the text we just got.
It was foreshadowing, possibly soothsaying, even.
Chris, you son of a.
Come on, Biden, easy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the third hour of the Rob Brown Show. The best, the final, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show. It goes now on ESPN Upstate, and I'm so happy to be here. Oh, we were close. We were close. Would you say 9 NFL teams without a head coach now?
Apparently 9 in the
No,
NFL.
That's not right, is it?
That's according to a tweet I saw from Andrew Siciliano.
So we got the Texans, the Jags, the Raiders, the Saints.
Glad there was glass in the way right there.
There's 4. Who am I missing? The Bears, 5. The Dolphins are 6.
Broncos.
The Broncos are 7. Well, you might be right. You might be right. Who are we missing out on? That's 7. Who else has an interim tag we're forgetting about? Who am I forgetting? There's 2 more?
Well, just go through each division and you can figure it out. I mean, that's just one way. It's methodical, but,
Let's see here. The Dolphins don't have one. The Jets do. It's not them. Chiefs do. Raiders do not. Chargers do. Broncos don't. So there's 3. Bengals do. Steelers do. Browns do. Ravens do. Titans do. Colts. The Colts fire their coach? I don't remember. Texter just said, did Zoe just call you Biden? Yeah, well, So
it was pretty funny.
Let's see. At the GOAT _1823 says, get Sean Payton to Jacksonville. Now, I suspect he'd want to step up if he was moving, not down.
If he's stepping away,
He's going to Dallas. If he's going somewhere, it's Dallas.
I think the way it's worded, if he's stepping away, I think he's done with football.
Yeah, at
I
least
think he's stepping into the booth, probably.
At least for the time being. Absolutely.
He may look young, but how old is he? He's not really that young.
Sean Payton is, he's got to be 49. Oh, he's 58. I keep forgetting he's been in New Orleans for legit like 14 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I understand your depression over that because he's been your coach for a
decade and a half.
Almost half your life.
Yeah. Oh. Yep.
Did I just make things worse? I'm sorry.
Thanks, buddy. So I can always trust Lonzo. Mr. Silver Linings over there. The emotional Hoover that is Lonzo. Tom Brady says his family will play a big role in deciding his NFL future. I believe that.
Yeah, because his wife's been trying to get him to quit for a while. The fact that he's throwing that out there now means, he's done.
He's thinking about it. He's 44, He's 44.
I think he'll be 45 soon or
he'll be 45
within the
when next
season.
Starts,
yeah.
I believe that. And ladies and gentlemen,
take your ball and go home, Tommy.
Let me rephrase that.
Finally.
Gentlemen, I guess ladies and gentlemen, if you're married to a Brazilian supermodel who makes $1 billion a year by being hot, and she says, honey, I think that's enough football, then you hang up the helmet and the boots because you're done.
You know what? I don't think it has anything to do with her. I think it has to do with the kids.
He did say that. He said, he said, I need to be the husband my wife needs me to be, and I need to be the dad my kids need to be. And yeah, his kids have got to be what? His kids have got to be in their early teens now, right?
I don't know how the one girl had to lead him drunkenly to his car after the Super Bowl championship last year. So maybe he needs to work out those things.
14, 12, and 9. There's nothing to be worked out. The dude won a Super Bowl and had a party. It is what it is.
Then was a drunken sot in front of the world and threw the trophy across the boat. But now he can go home and be a family man. Go home, Tom. Go home.
The haterade particularly strong today.
Hey, I'm pro family. Go home, Tom.
Yeah, spend more to pull the old Urban Meyer. Need to spend more time with your family, right? So
I don't think Tommy's been caught in the bar with a So I mean, he's good, as you mentioned, Brazilian. Yeah.
If Giselle said to me, "Rob, stop doing your radio show," and I was married to Giselle, you cats would never hear from me again. You know, Giselle makes like $1 billion a year being a mom. Tom Brady's not the breadwinner in that family, right? Like, he's probably doing okay in the financial department.
I think they have separate bank accounts.
Ain't no doubt in my mind.
No way.
Ain't no doubt in my
No,
mind.
no. You don't want a separate bank account in that. I mean, like you could tell. Why did you take $1 million out of our account?
Anyway.
People on the Facebook chat are thinking that you've, kind of changed the topic in order to get away from.
What else do you want me to say?
And by the way, it's a breaking news story. It's kind of ongoing, so we can't report on it, thoroughly until we get all the details.
Yeah, I can't wait to report on this more thoroughly. The only question to be answered right now is he going to Dallas, right? That's the only question to be answered, and there's no way to know. I got my car yesterday, Zoe, to come into work, and I'm listening to the morning show, yeah? I'm listening to the morning show. And Keyshawn is on there, and he's like, yeah, Sean Payton's going to Dallas. You know what it takes for me to respond verbally in my car to myself, to a host, when they say something on the radio? Do you know how ridiculous it has to be?
I talk to my radio all the time, so, I think most people do.
Yeah, but not like, oh, that's dumb. But like, Keyshawn, you're an idiot. Stop.
Yeah, I was saying that about Max this morning, but I do that all the time to the TV. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't talk to my entertainment sets apparently as often as Lisa does.
Listen, Rob. All right, so you weren't up on the chemtrails till it was proven that was right. Your devices are listening. You might as well talk to them.
Alexa, have a drink ready for me when I get home. Like I don't even need the glass of bourbon. Just open the bottle and put it on the coffee table.
What are you going to do if you go home and it's sitting there? You freak out.
Drink it.
Okay.
Texter says, first time I'm glad to talk about New Orleans since Rob has been here. Let's do the last segment on Sean Payton. Steven, Brandon says, surprised he didn't bail after Breeze retired. I think he wanted to prove it, right? I think he wanted to prove it. I think he wanted to prove that he would be able to do it without Drew Brees. And frankly, it wasn't a Super Bowl, but for what the Saints went through this year, I think he did prove it. Again, the dude was a beat the Giants in overtime or not have the Rams give up a 14-point lead in the second half away from making the playoffs with that team. With that team, I think he did prove it. Texas says Mike McCarthy trade coaches seems only fair to me. I mean, Mike McCarthy was in the NFC wildcard round of the playoffs this year. The Saints weren't. Texter says Urban Meyer and Aaron Rodgers to New Orleans. Book it, Rob. Oh, God. Oh, God. Texter said, did we ever figure out who the other two teams were looking for a coach? No, because this happened. See if I can come up with who the other ones are. The Vikings were one. And I don't care who the other one was.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think we were only looking for one more.
7. Whatever. Texter says Jim Harbaugh to the Saints.
You don't hate that. Don't act like you hate that.
Not as much as I hate Urban Meyer to the Saints.
Because Jim Harbaugh, even though it sickens me to say it, is a proven winner in the NFL.
Yeah. You're not wrong. We could do worse.
And don't be thinking I'm wanting to get rid of him because he beat Ohio State this year. That's not why.
Let's see. Harbaugh, 2011 with the 49ers, was named the AP NFL Coach of the Year. I'm not doing this. I'm not going down prospective head coaches for the Saints on a segment.
Until tomorrow, because this way you'll have a little more time to research.
I don't want to research. Texas says, Rob, would you simp for Giselle? Depends on your definition of simp. Like, am I going to sit here and drool over Giselle from behind my keyboard?
Can you explain that to a grandpa?
Simping is when you...
I know it's easy according to...
Different song.
Okay.
Different song. Simping is when you when you infatuate over someone or something, it's typically used to describe a man being so infatuated with a woman that he lets her walk all over him, but not in like the kind of way that you do because you're in love. Like when she doesn't even pay attention to you or ignores you, and you just lay down all over her and let her take advantage of you, despite the fact that she does not show any feelings toward you. It's when dudes do things that are outside of their own interest for a woman who is never going to pay them the time of day. Is simping. So no, I would not simp for Giselle. But if Giselle was married to me and said stop playing football, yeah, I'd hang up the helmet. I'd be happy to be a stay-at-home dad in that case. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. We talked last week, asked if it was fair or foul when the Tennessee Titans begged their fans not to sell tickets to Cincinnati fans. And by the way, Cincinnati still had a pretty good showing overall. Still had a pretty good showing there in Nash Vegas. How about the LA Rams, Lonzo, taking it one step further? The LA Rams have limited sales to fans in Southern California. Now, Ticketmaster has pulled this down, but the Rams are going to try to get it back up. They basically told ticketing agencies that they can only sell tickets to the Rams 49ers games to people with credit card billing addresses from the area of Inglewood, California that they are around. Public sales to the game to SoFi will be restricted to residents of the greater LA region. Residency will be based on credit card billing addresses at checkout, end quote. The Rams PR team said in a comment, quote, the game is sold out. Our season ticket members bought up all available tickets during a presale over the weekend, so that policy is no longer in place. So the Rams actually went so far as to tell Ticketmaster, you cannot sell these tickets to anybody outside of Los Angeles. Fair or foul?
As the seller, do they actually have are they able to put those restrictions on? Apparently they are.
I believe that even after you buy the tickets, they still are in control of the tickets. Right? That's part of the agreement in buying a ticket is that the team can still revoke that ticket, remove that ticket, refund that ticket, or limit the resale on that ticket.
Again, perfectly fair, in my opinion. I mean, go for it. If you have control over the tickets, control who you're selling them to.
After the last game in LA between the 49ers and the Rams, Sean McVay said, quote, said about the number of Niners fans at the game, quote, it did catch us off guard. There was a lot of red there. That was definitely a surprise. Matt Stafford said in the game after that he had to go to a silent count because of how loud the 49ers fans were in LA.
That's pretty bad.
That's bad.
In your own stadium, having to go to a silent count.
It's almost as if Roger Goodell, LA fans don't really give a darn. It's almost like Roger Goodell, LA fans don't care unless their team is in the Super Bowl. It's almost like Roger Goodell, they are a fickle fan base that does not care if they have a team or not, unless they can put it on their social media and tell everybody, look how big of a fan I am. It's almost like Roger Goodell, they're getting drowned out by visiting fans because they're, not good football fans.
You know what, though? It's a very nice stadium.
It's a beautiful stadium. They don't deserve it.
It's the most viewed stadium on every broadcast ever since they put that thing together. As if they're,
You want to start the conspiracy music again?
I never killed it.
It's almost as if the NFL issued a directive to the television network saying, we need you to make sure that you are showing as many shots, interior and exterior, of this stadium that we built to convince people that LA really is a football market as you can possibly do. It's almost like Roger Goodell said to the television networks, we need everybody to genuinely believe that LA is a good football town to justify taking a perfectly good franchise out of St. Louis and basing them here. Almost like that. I definitely wouldn't say that it is definitely like that. But if you watch any game at SoFi Stadium, they spend as much time showing the stadium as they do anything else. It's not like Roger Goodell would have a vested interest in trying to convince you at home that moving the Rams, who sold games out in St. Louis for years, into LA, a place where fans bail the minute their team is down 1 point, was a good idea.
Not to mention that NFL Network Studios is like right across the street, and they often say, "I'm going across the street to cover the game," and then they show the
It's almost like the NFL-run television network has a vested interest in showing that stadium and pretending like it's a great stadium. It's a great stadium. Sure. It's a beautiful stadium. Of course it is. It's brand new. It's state of the art. If they built a crap stadium brand new, Roger Goodell would look even worse than he already does. Oh, yeah, we're coming to that next. It's Alonzo's segment next. No doubt about it. All right, let's take a break. I need to reset. My emotional baggage is just overweighted right now. We come back. Joey B just said that his time in the SEC has prepared him well for Arrowhead Stadium this weekend. I'll let Lonzo expound on that when we come back. Listen to the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Does he not know what he just did? Joe Burrow, what a mistake.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Hawley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. On your computer, smart speaker, and phone on the Odyssey app.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Fisher is different? How? Don't you just ride the wave?
No, we actively manage client portfolios based on our forward-looking views of the market. In times like these, we understand that clients want proactive communication and guidance.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we get to know our clients so we can tailor their portfolios to their specific goals and needs. We even offer resources on Social Security, Medicare, tax efficiency, and more. Our primary goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions, right?
No, we don't sell commission products. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, our fees are transparent, structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
The Eagles Hotel California Tour. Live in concert with a full orchestra. Performing their iconic album Hotel California, beginning to end, plus a greatest hits set. The Eagles, Bon Secours Wellness Arena, April 25th. Get tickets Friday at livenation.com.
So much of life these days is rushing around from one place to another.
I think you should take a fourth spin.
Are you serious? Sometimes you just want to enjoy the journey. Ingles, all the ingredients for pain.
This week at Eagle, select 8 to 12 ounce, born in size, for shredded cheese, 2 for $4. Select sizes and varieties, Atkins protein-rich shakes, cookies, or snack bars, Magnolia each, and select sizes and varieties, General Mills cereal, 2 for $5. Eagle, low prices, love the savings.
Hey, it's David Spade. I'm Dana Carvey here.
Join us for our new podcast, Fly on the Wall. Every week, we're going to catch up with an alum from the world of SNL.
Our old buddies like Chris Rock, Tina Fey, Tom Hanks, Martin Short, whoa, Kevin Neal, and many more. They'll join and talk SNL from the days on the show and the days how they got on the show.
Follow and listen to Fly on the Wall, presentation of Kings 13. Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And get there. Good job, folks. That's pretty good.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Night getting longer? Time to refresh your headlights. See better and drive safer. Why not try Sylvania?
Ooh, ooh.
Oh!
Wow. My whole day just got better.
Firing the center because he missed that easy slam. Alley-oop was there. Bonked it off the back of the rim.
Tell you why I love what Joe Burrow said so much. It's not because he's right or wrong. I love it because it has just started a war between NFL and college football fans that neither side knew they were going to have today. And I'm here for it. Joe Burrow said that, you know, he knows Arrowhead is very loud, right? He says he knows Arrowhead is very loud. But he says, quote, it gets way louder in the SEC than in any of these NFL stadiums, end quote.
That's pretty funny. I just looked it up, and I believe that Kansas City still holds the Guinness World Record for the loudest NFL stadium. And then if you look at college stadiums, it's in there, but the world record, unless it's changed, is actually Clemson.
The world record is Kansas City. It's Arrowhead. It's over
Yeah,
140,
yeah.
I think 144 decibels.
And I looked up in college, and Clemson, it's 132. So that's like 10 dB more than a college stadium. And what you just did is say, you guys ain't loud. You say that to the loudest crowd.
Burrow just committed mistake number one heading into Kansas City. Now, here's the thing. Arrowhead is the loudest in terms of one spike, right? In fact, but that just changed because I think either last year or the year before, Seattle took that from you guys, and then you guys took it back.
Yeah, yeah. And it's open air stadium. I
Yeah.
don't know what the loudest indoor stadium is,
Well,
but that
Seattle's
doesn't
open
matter.
air too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys now. I went looking for different variations of the loudest stadium list to put together a composite because I'm curious. And then I realized exactly what Lonzo said. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Joey B just directly changed. Don't get me wrong. This is what Joey Burrow does. The dude's a killer, stone face killer. Joey B just challenged the thing that Kansas City Chiefs fans are most proud of, which is their noise level.
He didn't hurt himself. He hurt the rest of his team because
He's the quarterback. He absolutely hurt
No,
himself.
no. He can give up the cadence. The rest of the team cannot hear it. Now they can go to silent counts and all that kind of stuff, and they probably should have done that anyway. But yeah, what you're saying is, even though you hold the world record, you're not that loud. So now people after this game,
It's gonna be loud. Now,
I might just be yelling from my living room just to prove them wrong.
I have been to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. I have been to South Bend, Indiana. I have been to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I have been to Opelika, Alabama, or Auburn Place. I have been to the old Miami Stadium back before they moved to Hard Rock. I have been to, I think at last count, I want to say 19 different college football stadiums. and a chunk of them across the SEC. I've obviously been to Columbia. I've obviously been to Clemson. There is a difference, as somebody who pays attention to this stuff, there is a difference between consistent crowd noise and elevated crowd noise in big spots, right? Like, it's one thing if your team can pop a $140 on the decimal meter when it's 3rd and 5 late in the game. It's another thing when the crowd stays that way the whole time. I've been to an Alabama game. Alabama fans are relentless. There is no point where the volume drops. I have been to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. LSU fans on a Saturday night game are liquored up, and they don't shut up at all. And they're vicious. It ain't just, with them. It's vicious smack talk. I have been to Gainesville, Florida, when the Gators used to be real good. Real good. I've been to Gainesville. 90,000 strong at Ben Hill Griffin. They don't let up. I have also been to, I think, 7 NFL stadiums now. And I can tell you, NFL fans operate a little differently. NFL fans get louder than college fans do, but it's at points, right? It's at points. It's at big plays. It's 3rd and 5. It's 3rd down. And they come up out the seats. Or, you got a field goal block that could change the game, or a field goal effort could change the game. They get louder in spurts. Joe Burrow would have had that to his advantage. The Chiefs fans would have been loud in spots. But for the majority of the game, it still would have been loud, but probably still could have communicated. Joey B just walked into the den of the bear and poked it right in the eye. You just went after the thing that Kansas City fans are the most proud of, right? The most proud of. I don't know if you saw this, Lonzo. Eli Apple plays cornerback for the Bengals. And Eli Apple went on a 12-tweet-long rant against New Orleans. Yeah, they played New Orleans, played for the Saints, played 25 games there. Eli Apple said, I don't know, because he also played for the New York Giants. And basically, Eli Apple is meh at football. But he talks like he's an all-pro. So he started taking shots. I said, I don't know what fan base I hate more, New York or New Orleans. New Orleans fans were like, we don't even think about you, bro. And then he went on a 12-tweet spree about New Orleans is the stinkiest city and it smells bad and the food's bad. And even the television news channel in New Orleans, Lonzo, he said something, and after his 12-tweet spree hating on the Saints, hating on New Orleans, the TV crew responded with, gosh, Eli, I don't know how we'll ever get over the 11 passes that you defended during your entire career here. Another TV station said, you have now ripped New Orleans in 12 tweets. You defended 11 passes in your 25 games here. You have now tweeted more about New Orleans than you actually helped win games there. I mean, they're just going in on this cat. The one thing you don't want to do as a player, Lonzo, you don't want to go after the one thing that the fans of the city you're playing in are most proud about. If I was going to Green Bay, I wouldn't say cheese is bad. You know, it's all they got in Green Bay, the Packers and cheese. It's what they do. If I wasn't going to LA, I wouldn't say social media and breast augmentation are bad because that's all they got in LA. If I was going to Jacksonville, I would tell them that everything is bad because the 18 people at the crowd couldn't get loud enough to bother me. But you get the point. You just went after the team that is known to be the loudest stadium in the NFL, at least for one individual chant, the loudest in the NFL. And you said to them, Alabama's louder than you are. LSU's louder than you are. Auburn's louder than you are. Florida's louder than you are. You think Lonzo, for a second, do you think the Kansas City Chiefs fans, they may build a roof on top of Arrowhead just so the Chiefs fans can blow it off on Sunday?
Well, you saw my reaction when I saw it. Just think of the people who are going to the game. The rest of the week, they're not talking. They're at work and they're writing a note to the boss, and the boss gets it. And they're like, okay, you don't need to talk anymore. They're resting that thing up. They're getting it ready for Sunday, and then they're going to just unleash it.
Oh, Kansas City is the quietest city in America right now.
Yes. Got to rest those cords, get them ready.
They're going to hit they're going to hit 146 on the DB meter on Sunday. That city is quiet right now. It's a city of whispers right now. That being said, what is the legend of Joe Burrow if he wins this game on Sunday? What is the legend of Joey B if he wins this game? As he walks off the field at Arrowhead on Sunday.
This is the guy who would do that too. So yeah. And even though I am a Chiefs fan, if he did that, I would respect it.
If he rolls out of Arrowhead with a W and he shushes the Kansas City crowd as he walks off the field, Lonzo, immediately the Bengals become the team I'm rooting for in the Super Bowl. Immediately, Joe Burrow becomes my favorite quarterback in the National Football League. Now, if he loses this game, he's going to hear about 150 DBs worth of booze when he leaves the field. But if he wins this game and shushes that crowd on the way to get his cigar to puff while he waits for the plane to the Super Bowl, Joey B becomes my favorite quarterback in the NFL.
But if he loses this game because multiple false starts, then that's on him too.
Yeah. It's part of the game, right? I mean, if they end this game with 9 penalties on false starts and offsides and whatever, illegal formations and whatnot, the crowd's going to let him hear it. But if Cincinnati goes out there and runs this offense efficiently and comfortably and scores points and wins this game, and he shushes the crowd on the way out the door, I might buy a Joe Burrow jersey. I got nothing for Cincinnati. I got no love for the Bengals. But if Joey B wins this game and gives the old finger to the lips on the way out the door, I might buy a Joe Burrow jersey on the spot. On the spot. Let's take a break. We come back, one more segment, then Twitter trending topics to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
In their final year of eligibility.
Lane Kiffin has just tweeted this picture. That guy is expert level internet troll.
New head coach of New Orleans Saints, Lane Kiffin.
Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save. $0 copay for private generic drugs and plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See Walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. So a friend told me about Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic. And the secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Greatest invention ever. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Vi's virtual meditation studio has never been busier. They need a remote assistant to realign their scheduling. Sorry. Your breath. Indeed can help them hire great people fast. I mean, Indeed. Indeed you do. Make calls, schedule virtual interviews, and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
For a Spanish dude.
It's pretty bad. Some freeze
Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons. You'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help you find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. So why wait? Schedule an appointment with one of our tax pros and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. So why not ask? Just say,
Hey, did you get your hair cut? It looks cool. Also, have you saved even more about bundling with Geico?
or maybe,
Hey, did you get your hair cut? It looks weird. Not weird, cool. Anyway, have you bundled with Geico?
or try,
Hey, did you get your hair cut? It doesn't look weird at all. Anywho, have you saved by bundling with? Hey, easy with that, right?
bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Are your wiper blades shattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let streaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection.
Eric Bieniemy is trending, by the way, because I think people, as soon as Sean Payton
100% started looking at him.
I don't know if you saw, but New Orleans is having a press conference at 4 p.m.
We are?
Yes. I don't know if you want to run, if you want to get some sound or something, that might be. Right.
It's not immediately clear what he plans to do next. Sources have told ESPN TV networks have shown considerable interest in hiring him. Payton still has 3 years left on his contract with the Saints. They do maintain his rights if he decides to return to coaching in that time frame. Sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter the Bears finalizing a deal to hire Chiefs Assistant Director of Player Personnel Ryan Poles as their next GM. NBA Lakers center Anthony Davis listed as probable tonight against the Nets. He's been sidelined the last 17 games because of a sprained MCL. NHL Sharks defenseman Erik Karlsson likely out at least 2 months, recovering from left forearm surgery. Baseball Hall of Fame will induct its latest announced its inductees tonight. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens in their final year of eligibility.
We're trophy hosts. Sorry. Trophy winning hosts.
Lonzo, you know anybody that just sucks as a person?
I know quite a few people that,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to name them. I will. Grayson Allen sucks as a person. Grayson Allen in a game earlier this week against the Chicago Bulls. Alex Caruso. And you remember Alex Caruso, little white dude that played with the Lakers? Dude gets it.
I don't know that he's little, but yeah, I get what you're
Well,
saying.
in the NBA, he is.
Yeah.
So I wonder how tall Alex Caruso is.
I
in real
don't
life.
think he's as short as you think he is.
Alex Caruso is 6'4". He's taller than me.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm a small point guard in the NBA. Anyway, Alex Caruso in a game against the Bulls put a really hard foul, did Grayson Allen, on Alex Caruso. Caruso was going up for a layup, and Grayson Allen grabbed everything except the ball. Arms, legs, wrapped the second hand around, clobbers Caruso. Did you see it?
It was very much a wrestling move.
It really was.
How he come over the bat and hit. Yeah.
He was a cowboy hat away from that being a clothesline from hell. All right. It was bad. Well, Alex Caruso has a broken wrist because of it. Okay? Broke his wrist. He is now out for some amount of time. Grayson Allen was suspended 1 game for that hard foul. 1 game suspension.
I think a lot of people out there are shocked that Grayson Allen is still playing in the NBA. But yeah.
I'm going to come to that in a minute. Grayson Allen found 1 game. Now, I have kind of been a proxy Milwaukee Bucks fan. I like Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? I think he's not only a great player, But if I ask you to name the dudes in the NBA that have spread their message without polarizing any situations, Giannis Antetokounmpo is at the top of that list, right?
I have to think.
Got to think. Love Giannis. And the Bucks have largely been made up of a bunch of dudes who were told they can't do it anywhere. And the Bucks went and won a championship. A proxy Bucks fan has been Rob Brown. And then the Bucks put out this statement, and I quote, "We disagree with the suspension. We support Grayson and look forward to him rejoining our team." End quote. Grayson Allen sucks. Just as a person. He's a good shooter. He's a good basketball player. But he sucks as a person. And I would tell you right now, Lonzo, if I was a team that had maybe a back-to-back with Milwaukee coming up inside the next month, I think I'd be going to find me about a 6'7" brick wall to sign to a 10-day contract with the understanding that I would like you for one game to bring back the Detroit Pistons bad boy policy.
So you're bringing in a Bill Laimbeer to do what he does.
Because here's the thing. I try to be a take the high road kind of guy. Again, I've never been in a fight in my life. I'm a take the high road guy. I'm a guy who looks and goes, you know what? This is a teaching moment. This is a learning opportunity. This guy did something wrong. He screwed up. We should talk to him like an adult. Say, hey, Grayson, this is not okay, man. You've been getting guys hurt your whole career by doing this crap. We need you to stop. And then, for a second chance, I'm good with, all right, suspended for a game. $100,000 fine for a flagrant 2. That was completely unnecessary. If you do it again, we're going to have a problem. All right? Then, the third time it happens, Lonzo, there comes a point when you go, you know what? You're just not going to get it. Or you do get it, and you're going to ignore it. You're going to ignore it.
See, that would imply that they didn't know what they were getting when they brought him in. I mean, this has been his reputation his entire career, especially in college. So you bring a guy like that in, do you expect him to change? Do you really? Or do you bring him in because of his tenacity on defense and because on occasion he may take out a guy?
You bring him in because the dude can shoot the 3. The dude is a good perimeter defender. The dude is a guy you can rely on covering up the backside so a slasher can't get to the block and go up against you. Grayson Allen's a good basketball player. And I guess this is what frustrates me. He's a good basketball player. If Grayson Allen had a good head screwed on his shoulder, he could be, I genuinely believe, a great basketball player. He's got great court vision. The guy can find the empty spot in his own defense, and he can make you pay when he does. He's a great basketball player.
Some of us have that thing in us that, you know, it just rears its ugly head every once in a while, and you do that sort of thing. And he seems to be one of those guys. I mean, he's not doing it all the time, but when he does it well.
He's a great basketball player. And to the angry texter right now, ESPN, so hard fouls make you a terrible person. LOL, Rob, what a reach. Softest Charmin sports take. No. Hard fouls don't make you a terrible person. A repeated history of dirty fouls.
Yeah, like tripping and things like tripping and stuff like
knocking
that.
Guys in the junk when they're trying to shoot a jumper.
Yeah. That's
a history of dirty fouls is what makes him a bad guy. This is not hard to understand. This is not a hard foul. This is a dude who has stacked dirty foul after dirty foul all the way back to his time at Duke. He got suspended from games at Duke for doing this kind of crap. For tripping guys when he was not even part of the play, is reaching out with a hand to trip guys. If you don't understand the difference between a hard foul and a dirty foul, I got nothing for you. And unfortunately, when you get to the point that you have lost the benefit of the doubt as Grayson Allen has, the hard fouls are dirty fouls. That's just what they are. And that's where this cat's at. Texas says, if you talk about how dirty Grayson Allen is, you're losing another listener. Hard foul, soft league. See, this is, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I can make an assumption about you, Texter. It may not be correct, but I'll make an assumption. You're an older guy, aren't you? You're an older guy.
Or a Duke guy.
Or a Duke guy.
Yeah, it's more than likely it's a Duke
but
guy.
But you're probably an older guy because the only people who have watched Grayson Allen and had no problem with the guy are fans who go, I wish we could have the Detroit Bad Boys back again. Well, we don't. We don't.
I'm okay with a hard flagrant every once in a while. Keeps the game interesting.
A hard foul is going to happen. If a dude's showing you up at the rack and you give him a hard foul, that's fine. But there's a line, man. There's a line. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Diesel joins us. We hit Twitter trending topics to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. Sup, man? How we doing? You're good.
While Ash's parents were here, Dad went to, I guess, got it at like a Whole Foods or something like that. It's like a Bulgarian string cheese. It's like the original what this is supposed to be, but it's not. It's just
right.
It is like a twisted knot of seasoned cheese, and it just peels off in little strings.
Don't hate that. Cheese is underappreciated. Good cheese is underappreciated.
That's true. American.
My one pet peeve is when people eat gross cheese, but it has a fancy name, so they try to sell it as really good. Like, what's that? What's the cheese that's really stinky? Like, it's known for smelling like ass. There's a cheese that's known for smelling terrible and tasting terrible. And people are like, it's culture to eat this. And I'm like,
there was an episode of King of the Hill where Peggy was trying to get Hank to try new things. And long story short, he ends up in a park at like 6 a.m. grilling nude.
Okay.
He and Peggy. And just so happens to be also at 6 a.m. are a couple of like hippie chicks out there just also nude in the park. And Hank starts grilling them burgers and teaching them all about propane. And she's like, "Oh, can I put cheese on mine?" He goes, "Nobody makes cheese like the Americans." So it's just slices of American cheese. Ew, trapped in your nose. Pronounced Navaji.
Why does Walgreens offer copays as low as $0 and 90-day refills? Because we care about Medicare, so you don't have to. I mean, do you really care to hear me go on about same-day prescription delivery making your life easier? Or how there's a pharmacy expert available 24/7 and one-click refills? Well, I just did anyways. Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save. $0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. Walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget. Guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut skin.
Probably spit of them too.
In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them
Is that really saying much that your fries are preferred over McDonald's?
I mean, as fast food fries goes,
most of them are awful.
Most of them are bad. Chick-fil-A's waffle fries are good.
But by themselves, they're plain.
By themselves,
They're not great by themselves.
They gotta. I've been many times, and they like either don't or forget to salt the fries.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm just eating steamed potatoes here, people.
Exactly. They're not good by themselves. You salt,
Underappreciated
pepper
fries?
them, and ketchup them. They're great.
Much better. Underappreciated fries. Five Guys Cajun fries.
Man,
are
I
underappreciated.
was here and twice on Sunday for old school Checkers fries.
Checkers fries are not bad.
But we don't have Checkers here anymore.
What are they, Rallies here?
No, we don't have them at all.
Don't even have
We
them?
had them, but
there was
they're
one in
gone.
Tallahassee that stayed open 24 hours, and it was the post-frat party fries of choice.
Well, that would have been the wrong intro for Twitter trending topics.
It's time for Twitter trending topics.
Here's what's happening on the internet. Let's see what Rob Brown knows about it. Topic number 1, Sean Payton.
You just had to, didn't you? You just had to. I've been fine.
I didn't even see you were wearing the shirt today.
Here's what happened earlier today. If you see Chris Evans in the hall today, go the other way. All right. So Chris walks in here earlier in the show, Diesel. And I like Chris. Chris comes in every day, hangs out, nice guy. We talk sports and nerd stuff and whatever. And he walks in and he's doing something on the computer over there. And I go, Chris, what's up, man? And he goes, I'm good. How the Saints doing? This is an hour before Sean Payton retires. So he walks in. How the Saints doing? Not great, Chris. Really not great. Not in the playoffs. Quarterback's injured. Don't know if we're going to have one next year. We're not doing great. And he goes, well, at least you got some guys that can build, right? And I went, well, our head coach might be leaving, ... An hour later, Sean Payton retires. He's done. He's gone. So the Saints now one of 9 NFL teams for in the need for a head coach.
Should grab him by the face, make his jowls jiggle. Do you realize what you've done?
I'm going to go grab him by the beard later.
Next up, trending topic, Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson?
Yeah.
Like the books?
Yeah.
They're making a movie about it?
Seems to be. There's a tweet from the Hollywood Reporter that says Disney Plus has given a series order to Percy Jackson
they made some
and
movies.
the Olympians.
Didn't they made some Percy Jackson movies not too long ago? I mean, they did. I didn't say they were good. Yeah, they made them back in like 2010. They made 2 of them.
Okay.
So
I didn't
they're on
watch
TV
those.
shows now, huh?
I didn't watch those.
I didn't read Percy Jackson when I was growing up. I think it was a little bit after I was in my...
A little YA for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
next
anyway.
topic, Neil Young is trending.
Neil Young is trending because Neil Young told Spotify he wants them to take his music off for false vaccine information. Now,
by Joe Rogan.
Because they host Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Joe Rogan has said a lot of very wrong things about the vaccine and about COVID, et cetera, et cetera. I used to be a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast back in the day, back when it was fun, Diesel. Before Joe Rogan decided I need to educate America, he used to have Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and he used to have Professor Brian Cox, who is my favorite astronomer. And yes, I am the person who has a favorite astronomer. He used to have genuinely geniuses on.
Yeah.
And he would educate, but in a really entertaining way.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Rogan's kind of lost the trail for me a little bit recently. But I found this interesting from Neil Young.
That's the risk you take when you go political. You are automatically going to lose half of your audience. Half is going to be gone because they don't believe the same political philosophies that you do. Now, the other half will love you even more, and they will galvanize with you. Think about a band like Green Day. Green Day did that. They decided to go political during the Bush administration, and it pissed off half their audience, and half their audience said, screw you, Green Day, you suck. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to listen to your music anymore. We don't like you. Then again, you've got a band like Five Finger Death Punch that went political, and their fans love them for it. But the other half, the left half, hate them.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine back in college that I remember to this day. It was when Toby Keith released his "We'll Put a Boot in Your Ass, It's the American Way" song, right?
Yeah.
And I had a buddy of mine in my fraternity who was like, I'm never listening to him because he's profiting off of the Iraq war.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's interesting. I said, do you feel the same way? Are you going to stop listening to Green Day because American Idiot, which was in that same genre or the opposite drama in that point in time?
That genre opposite viewpoint.
But opposite viewpoint. I said, they are also by definition profiting off of the war, right? Even though their message is against it, they're still making money. It's not like they're not making money for this song. And he's like, I didn't think about it that way, right? It's interesting. That being said, I have a question for you, because I do a lot of podcasts. You listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a way and there is room for a centrist podcast to exist in America, or are we too committed to this rivalry entertainment style politics?
Centrist podcasts, centrist viewpoints, centrist takes to the public are boring, and they don't listen to them. They don't care. Centrist viewpoints say, just take it easy, man. See a little bit of both sides. It's all good.
Easy, man.
But no, there is no middle road anymore. You either have to be as far left as you can get or as far right as you can get, and there is no in between. Actually, guys like you and I are in between. Just nobody cares what we think.
Don't
politically, at least.
Don't ask the text line that. They'll disagree. They will.
That's
disagree.
right. I forgot that you're a Charmin Soft liberal sports show host.
The bleeding heart I am. This is true. All right, I'm going to go outside and put on a beanie and drink an IPA and protest something. You have a great rest of your day. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offsides. For Lonzo, my name's Rob Brown. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good rest of your day. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream. See y'all tomorrow.